The July 15, 2026 special meeting of the Genesee County Board of Commissioners is called to order. Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Commissioner Lloyd. Commissioner Winfrey. Here. Commissioner Getzinger. Commissioner Brown. Commissioner Avery. Commissioner Shoemaker. Commissioner Kuzenow. Here. Commissioner Wayhill.
Here.
Commissioner Flewelling. Present. 6 members present. You have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Let the record show that Commissioners Brown and Getzinger are excused, and Commissioner Avery, I think, will be joining us shortly. Next item on our agenda is public address. We allow 2 minutes for the members of the public to address the County Commission. We ask that you step to that microphone that is central there and state your name and your address, and you will then have 2 minutes. Do we have any public address this evening? Any public address? Good evening. And those of you that want to, if you wish to do public address, you can line up over here to my left, your right, and follow along as people complete their comments. And he's going to turn that on for you, I think. So name, address, and then 2 minutes.
Rachel Stanky. My address is 10272 North Center Road, Clio, Michigan, 48420. Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening.
My name is Rachel Stanky, and I'm the Thetford Township Supervisor. I am here today to request your support for Genesee County to intervene in the review and consideration of the Otisville Solar Project. PA 233 is new to all of us, and we are continuing to learn how its provisions will be interpreted and applied. The legislation's impact on local zoning authority has affected townships throughout Michigan. For approximately 2 years, Thetford Township worked diligently to provide a solar ordinance intended to balance the needs and concerns of property owners, residents, developers, and the community. Because Thetford Township's ordinance was not recognized as a compatible renewable energy ordinance, or CREO, under PA 233, the state process was able to take precedence over the township's local zoning regulations for this project. The Michigan Supreme Court recently granted counties the opportunity to participate as interveners in these proceedings. I believe it is the best interest of all Genesee County residents for county representatives to become involved and work alongside the affected townships throughout this process. Intervening does not indicate support for or opposition to the proposed solar project. Rather, it provides the county with an opportunity to better understand the process and requirements, help ensure the process is followed in accordance with state law, ask questions and seek clarification when necessary, participate in discussions regarding zoning and potential community impacts, and advocate for the interests and the concerns of county residents. The more local representatives who are actively engaged, the greater the opportunity to ensure that the process is fair, transparent, and conducted in the best interest of all affected communities. We encourage Genesee County to join us as we continue to carefully review the project plans and participate in the process. County involvement would help ensure that all available information is considered, community concerns are heard, and every reasonable effort is made to protect the interests of residents while complying with applicable law. Thank you for your consideration and for your continued service to the residents of Genesee County.
Thank you, Supervisor. Do we have additional public address?
Good evening.
Good
My name
evening.
is Sandra Murphy, 5126 Tequamanon Trail, Flushing 48433. I'm here this evening representing myself, but served as the Vice Chair of the Senior Millage Task Force. It's in that capacity that I want to provide public comment. I want to be clear that I am not speaking on behalf of the task force, though. There were remarks that were made last month by commissioners that I would like to respond to. The task force was not established to conduct research. We were to assess current needs, identify gaps, and make non-binding recommendations on funding. Our recommendation to fund the MSU research study came because we realized the scope of the issue related to funding services, both current and for the future, is enormous. This research study will provide information to make informed, equitable, and impactful funding decisions, and data that could be used in marketing to voters when the millage comes up for renewal and/or possible increase. There was a recommendation to alter the focus of the Department of Senior Services. It's time to broaden the scope of the department so it can coordinate and convene service providers, consumers, and advocates to address the intersectionality of chronic problems within the community of senior services. Lastly, I want to address a comment that was made that not every task force member voice was heard. Our chairperson, Richard Richardson, who could not be here this evening because he's recovering from knee replacement surgery, made every effort to give time during meetings for individuals to speak. In addition, members of the task force aided one member who has difficulty hearing by repeating directly to this individual what it was that was being said. Every effort was made to hear every voice. As you will be addressing senior task force recommendations later in this meeting, I sincerely hope you will vote in favor of the MSU research study and will use our recommendations to inform future decision-making. Thank you.
Thank you. Additional public address.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Mary Ann Price. I'm the Forest Township Supervisor. My address is 7105 East Farron Road, Millington, Michigan, 48746. I come before the Commission to ask your support in engaging as an intervener in the solar application that is affecting my township, Forest, and Thetford Township. The application is at the MPSC currently. I ask that Genesee County Commissioners support Forest and Thetford Townships in protecting the integrity of our townships. Again, I thank you for your time, and I would appreciate your support.
Thank you. Additional public comment?
Good evening. My name is Stephanie Broe. My address is 6167 East Vienna Road, Clio, Michigan. I'm an affected resident in the Otisville Solar Project, and I ask the commissioners to support intervention just to ensure that the community interests are protected, county interests are protected, and also to learn about the process of intervention. It is a complex and evolving process where statutory rights are being determined as we speak, and the county should play a role in that, making sure that avoiding government overreach from the state impacting the rights of the county. Thank you.
Thank you. Additional public address?
Good evening. I'm Kevin Lawrence, 1101 East Herd Road, Clio, Michigan. I'm currently the planning chairman for Thetford Township, and I'd like to encourage you to consider intervening in the Otisville Solar Project. I do know that the application is rather lengthy. I do see that you just received it on July 2nd on a Friday before the weekend, which is unfortunate. There's 3,200 pages, and I've read them all. It's a lot of reading to do. I see you did get the $50,000 intervener check to cover your legal expenses so that there's no tax money used should you decide to intervene into the process. A little bit of history of the thing itself. They are proposing 2,000 acres that will be fenced off in our township for solar. However, their application plan calls for less than 900 acres of solar panels. But they're going to fence off 2,000 acres. 2,000 acres is over 3 square miles of farmland that's going to be taken out that cannot be used for farming, cannot be used for residential because it's going to be fenced according to their application. I'm not against solar. We have 2 currently operating solar farms in Thetford Township that's been there since 2019, so we're no stranger to having solar facilities. However, they're not of this magnitude that takes away so much of the land. And the only thing that I'm asking is that you consider intervening so that we have another set of eyes, so to speak, to make sure that the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted as the process goes forward. Other than that, I've been following this for 4 years. It's been a long time, and I've looked at a lot of other things. You can follow on the docket if you're new to it. Go to the MPSC site and get the docket number, and there's a whole bunch of more pages. They've actually redone their application a second time because it was incomplete, so I don't know which version you've got. If you've got the second version or the first one. You may want to consider that too. Thank you.
Thank you. Additional public comment.
Good evening, or not quite, but anyways, my name is Mike Lapointe, 121 North Belsay Road, Clio, Michigan. I'm also the chair of the Planning and Zoning Board of Appeals for Thetford Township, and I would encourage you to be an intervener and to have another set of eyes to go through this project. We spend a lot of time working on an ordinance for the township. We're not against solar. We came up with an ordinance that it's stricter than what the EDF wants, so they're going through the state, through Public Act 233. We do feel that the county, it would be great to have the county's eyes on this. There's the power generated through this project doesn't stop at the township lines. They're saying that this project will power up 30,000 homes. But when it's midnight, they're not powering up any homes. And so you're gonna need batteries. And where are these batteries and storage facilities gonna go? Now you're talking fire protection that doesn't go just by the township lines too. So to have, like I said, another set of eyes go through this would be great. The economic impact of this project, if you haven't seen it, there's a lot of information out there that EDF put together. Encourage you to look at it. There's also an issue that's kind of personal importance to me, and that's prime farmland. This whole project is almost 100% on prime farmland. And as a township, we would have liked to have directed that to other areas and not take up this farmland, because that also has an economic impact for the county. In Genesee County has about 121,000 acres of farmland. And they figure am I too late here? And I'll finish up. They figure annually that generates about $90 million of revenue in the county. So anyways, I guess I'll close with that. I would ask again to be an intervener in this project and have another set of eyes. Thank you.
Thank you. Additional public address?
Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for the work you do on behalf of the citizens of Genesee County. My name is Chad Young. I'm a resident of Mundy Township. I also have the privilege of serving as the Township Manager for Mundy Township. Here this evening to address you and urge your support for your HSC Committee new business item 5 relative to the Mundy Township Senior and Enrichment Center. I was here a quarter ago on this same item. Urge you to approve an increase of funding to Level 3 Senior Center for the Mundy Township Senior and Enrichment Center. Recently achieved the minimum benchmark necessary by serving 1,000 unique individual senior visitors to our center. Since that time, I'm pleased to report we've exceeded approximately 1,500 individual unique senior visitors to the center, or 150% of that benchmark, showing that we can not only meet but exceed and maintain those numbers. And I would thank you in advance for your support.
Thank you. Additional public comment?
Hi, my name is Sabrina Bouchard. I live in Thetford Township, and I'm also a senior center provider. I have my master's degree in clinical social work, and as you may or may not know, a big part of social work is advocating for your clients. My clients are unfortunately not able to come here to speak to you guys. Most of them can't see to write you an email or to give you a phone call, and so it's my job to speak for them. And I have been a part of this senior task force and the senior provider scope for several years now. And I just, in following this, I just feel like it's important to speak on that 7 of the 9 people appointed to this task force in their introduction said that they were senior center goers. And my clients aren't there, and I think that that's very important. You guys read the recommendations heavily on senior centers, and I know that you are able to, and it's on the agenda today, to look at some other things, but it's my responsibility to make sure that you know and don't forget about my clients that can't come to you or can't reach you in any way. So I did share a story last month about a client, and I won't do that again. I just want to remind you of that client and put that fresh in your mind. Thank you.
Thank you. Additional public address?
Hi, my name is Michael DeWeesha. I'm the Chief Information Security Officer. I live in Oakland County. I apologize. With your permission, I would like to introduce you to our newest member, our Chief Information Security Officer, Matthew Lacruccio. He is doing the work of 4 people. Sometimes he'll tell me to 6, but I'm going to go with 4. And keeping the county safe and secure in the age of AI is an incredible task. I thank him every morning for coming back to work, as I do all my staff.
Absolutely. And I'd just like to say thank you. It was a pleasure to meet all of you and actually see how the county operates and works, and see how our services kind of play out into all the other items that we're working on here today. So thank you.
Welcome. Welcome to the county. Thank you, Mike. You don't have to apologize for being from Oakland County. Public address, even though Genesee is better. We know that.
Good evening. My name is Ambrosia Baird. I'm the Deputy Clerk at Thetford Township. I'm a Burton resident. And I'm here to ask you to please consider intervening on behalf of Thetford Township and Forest Township in the Otisville Solar Project. The reason is this is not a township issue. This is a countywide issue and greater a state issue. Many acres of farmland are being taken by no authority of the local governments. That's been taken away. And what are we gonna do when our prime farmland is no longer able to not only be farmed, but even built upon? So I humbly request that you intervene on behalf of our state. Thank you.
Thank you. I can't see, is there additional public address? Going once. Additional public address twice. Public address third time. Public address is closed. Thank you all. Under communications, we have our Director of Administration report, Mr. Freeman.
Nothing for this meeting, Commissioner.
Thank you. Under reports of standing committees, we have the Board of Commissioners, myself as chair, and Commissioner Getzinger as vice chair. I'm going to ask our attorney, given that we're going to attempt to go into closed session, to frame it for us, and so the public is aware. Let me just quickly say, though, those of you that showed up not realizing we were going to have a special meeting at 5:30 as opposed to our regular cadence of committees, we did announce the special meeting several days ago, but if you missed it, we are, part of that is an executive session or closed session. We will go upstairs to the 10th floor for that. You all are welcome to stay while we do that, and we will be presented with a legal opinion by our counsel here, and then we will ask questions potentially, and then when we return, come back into open session and take up these other items that are related to the special meeting. Once the special meeting is adjourned, we will begin with our regular committee schedule, and that would be Community and Economic Development first. Mr. McMillan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Under the Open Meetings Act, this body is allowed to go into closed session for certain reasons. And under MCL 15.268, subsection 1, subsection H, one reason is to consider material exempt from discussion or disclosure by state or federal statute. And I prepared actually 2 legal memos, opinions for this board to consider, and they should be discussed and considered in closed session. So I would ask that somebody make a motion to go into closed session, and we need 6 affirmative votes via roll call.
Move it.
Support.
Moved and supported.
Mr. Chair.
Discussion, Mr. Cousineau.
It is, I voted to bring this to a special session today. It's a very important position or position for the county to consider, to talk, and debate. However, I need to make full disclosure about my involvement with this, and according to our ethics and transparency, I need to make everybody know that I live in that area. I am affected by that area. I will be affected in whatever happens financially,
etc. I have not signed, just so everybody knows, I have not signed any non-disclosure agreement, and to be fair, none has ever been offered to me. However, I've had a lot of conversations. I've been approached by numerous developers on this, and some of the things I have done and said has affected it. And at one point in time, I don't know what year it was in, 21, 22, I did sit on a committee at Thedford Township when I was not here as a county commissioner with Kevin Lawrence that you heard speak. And so I have some involvement with that, but I feel that, and I will vote to go into closed session, but I feel that it's important that because of my potential conflict of interest, that I not vote on this, that this board vote without me. I will go into closed session and I will listen. Once you enter into debate in public here, I will not participate because I think it would violate the ethics bylaws of this Board of Commissioners. So I just wanted this board to understand that my involvement with this. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome. Do we have additional discussion? Mr. Clerk, would you call a roll for this particular vote, just so we have it?
Commissioner Lloyd?
Yes.
Commissioner Winfrey?
Yes.
Commissioner Avery?
Yes.
Commissioner Shoemaker? Commissioner Kuzenow?
Yes.
Commissioner Wayhill?
Yes.
Commissioner Flewelling?
Yes.
Motion is carried. We are in closed session. my throat. Wouldn't that be terrible?
You said you didn't want a funeral, right?
Yeah. I want a huge funeral.
You want the party, no view.
All right, we are out of closed session. I'll entertain a motion. I think we need someone to read the motion probably, right?
It is resolution 26479, correct?
I believe so.
Okay.
No? That's just the,
0885. 0885. Oh, that's the close, you're moving to come out of closed session? Oh, okay.
so who made the motion?
We don't have to have a motion? Okay,
No, we don't.
no, okay. I would like to make a motion on an add-on resolution.
Commissioner Flewelling is recognized.
Thank you, sir. I'd like to make a motion on an add-on resolution that I will read now. To the Honorable Chairperson and members of the Genesee County Board of Commissioners, Genesee County, Michigan. Ladies and gentlemen, be it resolved that this Board of Commissioners of Genesee County, Michigan authorizes intervening into the matter of the application of Otisville PVI LLC for a renewable energy or storage facility certificate to construct a solar energy facility, case number U21956, in support of both Forest Township and Thetford Townships. Authorizes accepting the one-time $50,000 grant check from the energy company to pay the cost of intervening. Authorizes Corporation Counsel to hire outside counsel to represent Genesee County in this matter at a total cost not to exceed $50,000.
Is there support?
Support.
It's been moved by Commissioner Flewelling, supported by Commissioner Winfrey. Is there discussion? Commissioner Flewelling, maker of the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would just say, I think, hopefully all my colleagues will support this. I think it's very important to show our constituents that we've got their back. I know there may not be much we can do with this state law the way it's written, as ridiculous as it may be. I think this is just the first battle in the war that will probably be data centers next. And so to show our local communities that have come to us asking for our support, that we do support them and we'll do what we can to assist them, is very important. Thank you.
Do we have additional discussion? I'll just say that I want to thank the supervisor out there who called me on July 2nd, I think it was, and we had a good discussion about this, which elevated this topic, certainly on my radar, and allowed us to be where we're at this evening. Additional discussion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Are there any abstentions? All right, one abstention, Commissioner Cousineau. All the others are in the affirmative. The motion passes.
Thank you.
Without any other business, we are adjourned at 6:33 p.m. and we'll go into committee meetings.
Super. We ready? Yep. Ready. Okay. We'll call this meeting to order for the Community Economic Development Committee. Roll call.
Commissioner Lloyd,
Present.
Commissioner Winfrey,
Here.
Commissioner Getzinger, Commissioner Brown, Commissioner Avery, Commissioner Shoemaker,
Present.
Commissioner Kuzma, Commissioner Wayhill,
Here.
Commissioner Flewelling. Present.
I need a motion to approve the minutes from
So moved.
June 10th.
For it.
We have a motion and support. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We reserve this time for public comment to the committee.
comment to the committee. Third and final time, public comment to committee. Public comment is closed. Communications. We have communication from the Director of Administration.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to call up, with your permission, our new lobbyist firm, Curry, Johnson and Levitt. They're here to give a brief update on the state budget process and some wins, some pretty significant wins for Genesee County in that process.
Yep.
Oh, look at this. I'll crouch. My name's Andy Levitt with Corey Johnson Levitt. I'll let my colleagues introduce themselves. They work on the team with me for county, and then I will give a brief budget report and then take any questions from the board.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Taylor Lawrence, part of the Corey Johnson Levitt team. Been here for about 3 years now. Genesee County native, don't live here any longer, but it's great to meet you all, and we're looking forward to working with you.
And I'm Nicole Rodriguez, also with the Corey Johnson Levitt team. I've been with the firm for 7 years, starting as their intern. I've lived in Genesee County for the majority of my life and currently live in Atlas Township, so I'm looking forward to working with the county.
Thank you, Chairman Wayhill and Board. I'm Andy Levitt, also a Genesee County resident, so a full Genesee County team fighting for the county here. So the budget was impacted greatly by some federal changes in policy around Medicaid, and I think we're seeing that play out across the budget, and took a lot of what I would say reorganization of funding across state government to plug holes in Medicaid and backfill some other pieces that the federal government used to carry. The result of that is, I think, a budget that today is a little less clear on how will be effectuated writ large, but I think largely remains in around the same funding level, but some changes in how they fund and match some federal dollars. So on the two items that I think the county cared the most about, one being the prosecutor's funding, and then the other question we got was around community corrections. So community corrections a little easier, straightforward. The House budget had eliminated community corrections funding in totality. The conference report and final budget adopted actually increased community corrections by $1 million and preserved the funding overall. So generally speaking, for counties, community corrections, a positive outcome. The issue that I think was a little more complicated and urgent for the county was the prosecutor's funding. Twofold: the ongoing, ensuring that we're able to keep the public safe and fund these prosecutors ongoing. The new boilerplate language and ongoing funding was crafted in a way that will keep Genesee County whole as it was previously on an ongoing basis. So we feel good about that, and that is a win. Secondly, we were able to put together $2.953 million into a line item that counties who ended up in our position would be able to recoup the cost for when the new boilerplate from fiscal year 24 to 25 changed that gave us our shortfall. So we both have filled the shortfall hole and fixed the ongoing conversation at the previous level we were at. So we feel good about all of that. Many folks in the delegation worked really hard on it. I think Senator Cherry poured his heart into it, and I think cost him a lot, considering it was his number one ask. So very appreciative of his help and partnership on it. So any questions on the budget writ large or these topics?
Mr. Chair, I just want to compliment you on your commitment to the county, even though you are new, and right out of the gate we had what I would call as fairly significant issue or emergency.
Yeah.
Because if we had had a $3 million hole in the budget for the prosecutor's position, or his office, I should say, we would be in a world of hurt and having to make some difficult choices. So I'm grateful for you and the team for working with our delegation. I believe Republicans and Democrats.
Yes, sir.
So bipartisan effort to make sure that we could make the prosecutor whole, not only going forward in the new budget, but retroactively for the money that was owed to the county.
Yep.
So I am personally grateful for that. Thank you.
Yeah, it was a couple nervous, long nights. I was worried more about the timing than the outcome, but really happy we were able to get it done in time and then also deliver the money. So
Thank
look
you,
forward
Mr.
to working
Chair.
with you guys on many issues going forward. And if there's anything you guys need, reach out to the KJL team. Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Absolutely.
Oh, sorry.
You recognize Commissioner Roosevelt.
Yeah, I want to thank you for the effort that you put in on the prosecutor funding. As finance chair, I was extremely worried about that, and I too lost nights of sleep over it, trying to figure out what would happen if we didn't get everything that we got. But it is my concern moving forward. We got it in the next budget, but I think we need to take and at the state level get that to be a consistent year after year funding, rather than, because it leaves the employees wondering if they're going to be working next year or not. Do I hang on here for one more year hoping for the best, or I go somewhere else for my career? And so that's something that is desperately needed in this county, but other counties too that have the high risk, such as Saginaw, and I don't know who else, but there's a number of counties that
Yes.
qualified for this. So I would encourage you to work extremely hard in filling that gap. The state throughout the years has created a lot of inequities in law enforcement, and we forget a lot of times part of that law enforcement and the criminal justice system includes the prosecutor's office, and it doesn't do us a lot of good to go around and arresting people and maintaining jails if we can't prosecute them.
Yeah.
And and then, they've added so many things throughout the years. We receive a lot of fundings for the indigent, et cetera. Well, we need to have something a little more consistent for the prosecution end, and I appreciate it if you work on that. Thank
Yeah,
you.
that's certainly our ongoing goal, and one thing we've talked about is, we now have a pretty bipartisan coalition of prosecutors who are receiving this money. I think we have good language in place, and building that coalition broadly, all of them advocating year in and year out, so it's a statewide bipartisan ask will, I think, hopefully bring, your vision of what you're talking about to ultimate the goal where it becomes it is an ongoing funding line. We are an ongoing funding line. It's not one-time money, but bring more comfort to it, I guess, is what I would say. So.
Yeah, thank you.
Do you have anything else? We're about 26. Oh, yep, we're all set. Does anyone else have any questions or comments?
Next item, Mr.
Thank you.
Vice Chair, is our planning director? Oh, he's up front. I'm sorry, I'm used to seeing him towards the back. He's got some exciting information about our CAPER. Just
Okay. Our consolidated annual performance evaluation report, called the CAPER. There was a link in the packet to it. Ultimately, though, in the last year, we spent $2.3 million, and that's with our partners, our local units of government, our nonprofits. Right now, we're in the process of our public comment phase. We'll have a public hearing coming up July 20th, and then the report gets submitted to the feds on July 31st. And then, in addition, in cooperation with that, we actually got an award from the federal government, HUD, for timeliness. So for more than 5 years in a row, meeting all those timeliness requirements. And I will say, Cody, Gwen in our office, big part of that, as well as all our local units, right? Our local units are the ones that are boots on the ground doing the projects. So it's nice to see that we got recognized for those impacts. That's all I have.
Anything else from you? Nope, okay, thank you. There's no old business. As far as new business, I need a motion for Resolution 2026-0825, approval of agreement between
Move it.
Genesee County and participating Genesee County municipalities provide for the cooperation agreements related to CDBG funding. The terms of these agreements are for the fiscal years 2025 through 2029, with an option to automatically renew them after the next
Support.
3 years. We have a motion and support. Any discussion? If no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. I need a motion for resolution 2026-0862, approval of a grant award from the CS Mott Foundation in the amount of $3,500,000 to continue work on Genesee County's
I'll move
legacy
it.
trail system. We have a motion and support. Any discussion? No discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. If we have no other business, this meeting is adjourned at 6:44.
I call the Finance Committee to order at 6:45. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Lloyd,
Present.
Commissioner Winfrey,
Here.
Commissioner Getzinger, Commissioner Brown, Commissioner Avery, Commissioner Shoemaker,
Present.
Commissioner Kuzma,
Here.
Commissioner Wayhill,
Here.
Commissioner Flewelling.
I need a motion to approve the minutes from June 10th.
Support.
Is there any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We now take time for public comment to the committee. Is there anybody that, in the audience, that wishes to make public comment to the committee at this point in time? Second time, is there anybody wanting to address the committee? Third and final time, public comment is closed. Communications,
Commissioner.
Director of Administrative Report.
Commissioner Kuzma. Today we finished up our department budget hearings, which were very exciting. And with that, Crystal is here to give us an update on some preliminary expenditures for the upcoming fiscal year budget, which you will be taking action on next month.
Good evening. Each of you should have a copy of the presentation in front of you. This is a preliminary look at our expenditure side of the general fund budget for fiscal year 2027. The first slide there, you'll see this is just pointing out where we are in the process. We did have the last of our budget hearings today with the departments of the county. We are planning to have the proposed budget at the August 12th meeting, and then the adopted budget would be on the August 19th agenda. But we do not have to adopt it in August, we just have to legally adopt it by the end of September. This slide shows the total expenses for fiscal year 2026 were approximately $135.3 million. The fiscal year 2027, after the departments have submitted their requests, which are still open to change, were about $128.9 million. So this is a decrease of just over $6 million. As you can see on this chart here, 66% of our budget is spent on personnel for salaries and fringes. But let's look at the next slide that pulls out the ARPA dollars that kind of skews things from year to year. When we exclude ARPA, 2026 was about $130.6 million. In 2027, after the departments have submitted requests, is $128.7. So a decrease of about $1.9 million. And that's primarily related to the decrease in transfers out. So as you might recall, we did that transfer out for the deficit elimination plan for the active healthcare fund. So that was not once again in the 2027 budget. And again, about 66% for personnel. That's about 3% of an increase from the last year's budget. Our operating costs are about 16% of the total general fund budget. Transfers out are about 17%. And then capital outlay is about 1% of the total budget. The following three slides show by department the 2026 amended budget, the 2027 after departments have submitted requests. And then we have the total change column, which includes personnel and non-personnel. And then we have the non-personnel change for that department. And the reason we started breaking that out is as a department, aside from not adding staff to your department, you don't really have control over those increases. Those are union negotiated raises, so a department can't say I'm gonna increase or decrease those costs. So again, aside from not adding staff to increase their costs, we look at that differently. As you can see, if you go down the columns, courts, which includes district, circuit, probate, all together, was an increase of just over $1 million, but if you look at the non-personnel change, it was an increase of almost $320,000.
What were you just referencing?
The courts line,
The course line.
yeah, it's the fourth item down
Page 5.
on that page, the slide 5.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes,
Who's meeting? Finance.
Chair.
Just so I make sure I'm reading this right, so as it relates to courts, the number under total change, that includes the union contracts, right?
Yes,
And then
so the total change is everything in those departments, or those courts, I guess they're not a department,
in the 319,
is if you exclude the personnel, that's the
That's the
total
change.
non-personnel change.
okay.
Yes. On the next slide, you can see ARPA was the biggest change, a decrease of about 4.4 million. That's because we're starting to near the end of the ARPA spend, which has to be spent by the end of December of 2026. Our required pension contribution, you can see, increased again by about 844,000. This should decrease next year, and the reason this increase is because the actuary smooths market fluctuations over a 4-year period. And this is because you don't want to have, if the market was really good, them hacking at your contribution for that year, but then the next year, if the market does not do well, your contribution goes through the roof. So they smooth those market fluctuations over a 4-year period to keep it more level. So 2022 did not have a good market year. That will drop off next year. And then 2026 market change will come on to that smoothing. So we should see a decrease in our contribution next year. One thing, we did get a new valuation for pension recently as a part of that audit. Our net pension liability did decrease from about 128.8 million to 116.9 million. And our funding level went from 63% up to 66%. So we were happy to see that.
Mr. Chair,
yes,
can I ask another
please, go
question?
ahead.
Through you to Crystal, back on the page where it says, shows the ARPA, I may be a little behind your review.
Oh, you're good. What,
Um,
slide 6?
yes.
Okay.
So the 300,000, so in the parentheses, that's just the ARPA going away, right?
Yes.
But the
So we
department,
budgeted 4.7 for fiscal year 2026 and only 300,000 for fiscal year 2027. And that's just because we're gonna be winding down to just a little bit of personnel costs that should be left to be paid for 10/1/2026 through 12/31/26.
and will those be leftover ARPA dollars, the 300,000, or is that general?
No, that's just the change in the budget from 26 to 27. We're hoping we'll fully spend all of our ARPA dollars that we still have remaining.
Thank you.
Sure. The next slide, you can see transfers out decreased by 2.9 million. Again, a large portion of that was the large transfer to the active healthcare fund. We do have a little transfer built into 2027. We're hoping to stabilize that by the end of 2026, but we do have something in there as a buffer for 2027. The next slide shows the expenditures by function. You can see we spend about 29% on administration of justice. That includes courts, the prosecutor's office, and then any grant matches that they have for their operations. 24% on law enforcement. So as you can see, if you add those two together, we spend about 53% of our total budget on public safety included in the next year's budget. 19% is for appropriations. So if you take those out of the total, that leaves the county about 28% of our total general fund budget to do everything else that the county is mandated to do to serve the county residents throughout the year. And then just a current update on where we are in the process. Again, we had additional meetings this morning. That was after I did this presentation. But where we are currently, so you can see I have included a use of fund balance of about $750,000 for a capital project. If you recall, in fiscal year 2025, we started the jail netting project down at the jail. We had hoped it'd get off the ground a little bit faster than it did, but figuring out how to close the pods and do pieces of it at a time, only a small portion was done in fiscal year 25. So we reestablished the budget in fiscal year 26 to use fund balance. You've probably seen that in the monthly reports that I do. So what we will be doing is reducing the use of fund balance in 26, and then using that use of fund balance in 27 to finish that project for the 750,000. So in total, the use of fund balance won't be any different. It's just the fiscal year in which it will be used will change. If we pull that out, we're only about, as of this presentation, we were about 100,000 short on balancing out the expenses to equal revenue. We're still working with departments. We do have some questions out that we're hoping for the line items that we're questioning we'll be able to reduce, but if not, we're still working with departments to figure out how to fit that in. If you did sit in on the department meetings on the 1st and today, there were some large asks from departments that will be coming to you for consideration, but they won't be included because they won't be ready for you to approve before this budget book is on that agenda. If you did decide to adopt those, subsequent to that adoption of the budget, we would just do a budget amendment if you wanted to include those. But there are several items that will likely be coming to you as a result of those discussions.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
to the tune of what? And I don't want to be.
Over $3 million worth
Okay,
of
yeah, 'cause
requests that would be coming,
Okay.
yes.
And I don't want to be department specific right now. I'm
Sure,
just
no,
curious
yeah.
Curious of it.
Yeah, probably 3/4 of those were staff related, so you would have to approve for them to add staff to their department. And we would have a budget amendment that would come through to include those costs moving forward. Just as a reminder as well.
Mr. Chair?
Sure.
May I?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Crystal, related to Commissioner Lloyd's question, the bottom line here with the shortfall of negative 100,000, does that include what department heads submitted in their memos that they went over? So I was at the full day of budget hearings the first time. I wasn't able to be there today.
No.
So everything they asked for is not included?
No.
The 3 million that you've just mentioned is what's excluded?
Yes.
And they've asked for
The
that?
majority of that was related to staffing requests, so those have to come to the Board of Commissioners for approval
Okay.
before we can include them in any budgets.
All right, just wanted that clarification. Thank you.
Mr. Chair. And Crystal, 2 questions for you. Do you know what our general fund balance is right now? Ballpark.
As of today, I'm not sure. It would depend. So we usually look at what it was at the end of 9/30/25 and then what we project to use for the next fiscal year to see where we estimate to be by the end of this fiscal year. But budget to actual will be different.
What was 9/30/25?
I think it was about 43 million.
23?
43.
43, okay.
Unassigned?
Yeah, the unassigned fund balance. Wow, whatever.
I can email that
Yeah,
out,
if
but
you
I don't
just
know off the top of
email
my
it.
head.
What about the capital fund balance?
That included that.
And within general fund, or you mean?
What we're talking about use of assigned fund balance capital, that you're talking
I
your
think
capital
there
project
was
fund,
almost
right?
$9 million in general fund for capital needs.
Yeah, perfect, thank you.
Sure.
Mr.
Go ahead.
Appreciate all the work that you've done and team done. You all do an outstanding job. Just a question about our budget and philosophy going, for this year. So I see the revenues, estimated revenues, and then I see the estimated expenditures. And it seems like, aside from the capital piece, with the fund balance there, they're assigned, that we're going to be spending basically what we expect to take in. So I know that, we have fund balance, and there may be days even ahead beyond this period where we'll need to kind of tighten the belt more. I'm just wondering if we should be budgeting more conservative. And that's not necessarily just a question for you, but maybe it's our finance chair board as well, and that may take some adjustments in some areas as well, but just looking at, we're gonna spend what we take in, and I would actually feel better maybe making maybe some moderate adjustments now so that we can put other monies away, because I know maybe that with hopes that it lessens the impact maybe down the road, and then I know the other requests.
Well, and that is our budget, so that's not a goal for spend. So typically, we've been under budget since I've been here, probably all but 1 year. So I don't anticipate that that's a target that departments will try to spend up to. So we should have some savings throughout the year, not spending that entire amount. And we have
you
been
know,
doing those quarterly sweeps to move any staff vacancy savings to the capital project fund to help us fund those items as well, so we're not trying to squeeze those into future budgets, as we have those savings.
Yeah, I was just, go ahead, but yeah, I was just gonna add that we do that, a lot of sweeps, and, you know, throughout the year, we add to the fund balance because of that. But go
And
ahead.
And I agree, you know, department heads have been, at least from what I've seen, department heads, your office, your department is, certainly has been responsible in doing those kinds of things, have a great financial practice. My thought process isn't really to the practice, because the practice is good practice. I'm speaking just very specific to this budget, because there's two ways of looking at it. We can budget the full amount and then say, hey, folks aren't gonna spend it all, so we'll have sweeps and we'll have money to, you know, whatever. Or we can, you know, put forth a budget that pulls back, you know, a little of the resources now. And folks, you understand, not to get into a lengthy discussion, but
Yeah,
just
I mean,
different thought
66% of our budget is personnel, so you would have to help me understand which department to be able to
Oh, yes.
pull back those dollars,
Yeah,
but.
yeah, certainly. And that's the budget. Let me say it this way. Yes, absolutely, certainly. You know, if we took a different approach, of course, we would have to figure out where those cuts. I can't figure that out sitting here now.
Right,
It's
yes.
two different
Right.
rational budgeting approaches, but yet two different approaches that achieves the same thing. And certainly, if we did something like that, we would be looking to your department, looking to, you know, our director of administration and others to say, hey, where are those spaces that we can pull those resources back? So I get it, you wouldn't know that standing here, but it's just two process. Because if I have a budget, and I'll just wrap with this, you know, if I have a budget that says I have $500,000, right? And, you know, the previous years, I may have turned over 50,000 or turned back over 100,000. That's great, right? But it's even more conservative for me to only have 450,000, and I got to work within that and those other resources we know we're going to swirl. So I'll just rest there. I just was curious, you know, thought process, and just wanted to mention that. I prefer the other way, but I'm good either way.
Mr. Chair, if I could just jump in, that's a discussion that we can have as part of the budget resolution in committee next month, of what percentage of fund balance you want to have, right? So last year, the board decided to have, I forget what the number was, 16% or 18%. So if you want to bump that up and say we want 20% fund balance or 25% fund balance, and then that can give direction, I think, to staff on how to move forward with the, you know, the final agreement coming out of committee.
I appreciate that, because I don't see that there. I could be misread. And just for the public who's listening to the discussion, nothing's being done wrong here. We have a great team who does a great job. This is just one of the most important things we do, and just talking through what it looks like for this year. So I just want to be clear about my spirit in terms of the question and what I'm looking at. But in looking at those numbers, I don't see the 5 or the 6 or the 10 or the 15 or whatever. It looks like, and I could be wrong, it looks like it's potentially to the penny, if you will, and that's why the question came up, you know, what is that percentage? So I appreciate that. I'm all set.
Yeah, Commissioner, I might add that, you know, we have still approximately 2 months. I don't want to wait until the last minute, of course, and we've brought this forward fairly quickly. And so there is time to consider those things with amendments or however you want to adjust it. So, you know, if you have ideas, please bring them forward, and I think the board should consider those.
Great job. One more question. What was the percentage we did last year?
I don't remember off the top of my head, but I want to say it was around 16%.
Yeah, we have a minimum fund balance policy. I want to think we adopted a 15%, like we don't want to go below that. And then we have adopted assignments above that for capital, broadband, OPEB. Those are the ones I can think of off the top of my head. So we have those set aside within assigned fund balance as well.
All right, thanks.
And then the next slide is next steps. So we're still reviewing, like I said, we're working through that final amount or whatever amount you come up with that you want us to get to. We have held the meetings with each department. And again, August 12th, you'll see the proposed budget, and then August 19th, will be when the adopted budget comes forward for you to consider. But again, it just must be adopted by September 30th. Are there any other questions?
Anybody?
Mr. Chair, you'll be sending out today's team recordings? Okay.
Just didn't get to it before this meeting, but I
All
will
right.
get them.
I'm
those up.
hoping to watch at least some of those.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can I make one more statement?
Yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The other thing I wanted to say is just an observation from looking at this versus I was in the budget hearings, the first set, not in the ones today. But from looking at this, I want kudos to our department heads. I don't see where department heads were just, not thoughtful about where we are from a financial standpoint. I don't see reflected here these exuberant budget requests to inflate budgets and so on and so forth. And it just speaks to, the responsibility of the team, that we have here. That it's clear that they're taking the budget process serious and really being thoughtful about not trying to add, exuberant additional expenses to the county's budget. So I just want to say that as it relates to, our finance team, you all, but also the department heads as well.
Yeah, you're correct in stating that, our staff, including your staff, but everybody, I've never, in all the years I've been here, seen them really going overboard with anything that, everybody realizes that we have to be good stewards of the taxpayers' funds, and we try to do that every year. And but our department heads, everybody cooperates. That's never been an issue. Anything else, Crystal?
I'm all set if you are.
Okay.
Thank you.
Nobody else? Okay, thanks.
Mr. Chairman, the only last thing that I've got for you is on this agenda tonight, it is the last item. It's about the Genesee County Animal Care Millage, a request to put that on the November ballot. When this resolution was submitted, we did not have the final numbers from equalization as to what that millage would realize, and those numbers have now been updated in the system so that we have those, and those will be included as part of the final resolution next week, just so you know.
Okay, thank you. We don't have any old business. New business, Resolution 26-0683, approval of a request to create, post, and fill one clerical coordinator position at Genesee County's Health Department.
I'll move it.
Excuse me, the cost of this is fully grant funded. Is there any comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Resolution 26-0743, approval of a proposed amendment to the 25-26 appropriations resolution in the amount of $30,000 to provide for additional medical examiner scene investigation services. Funding for this proposed amendment will come from fund balance in the general fund.
I'll move it. Support.
We have a motion and support. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Resolution 26-0761, approval of a purchase orders to Motorola Solutions in the amount not to exceed $10,000 to provide for purchasing replacement vehicle camera parts such as brackets, docks, and chargers. On existing cameras, the cost of this purchase order will be paid from the accounts listed.
Support.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Resolution 26-0764, approval of a purchase order to Motorola Solutions for the fiscal year ending 2026 in an amount not to exceed $5,500 to provide for the purchase of replacement radio parts such as mics, docks, chargers, etc. on existing owned radios. The cost of these purchases will be paid from the accounts listed.
I'll move it.
Support.
Does anybody have any comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. 26-0776, forwarding to receive and file a copy of the paid county bills for the period of 5/24/26 through 5/14/26, and the total amount of $60,406,098.72.
Move it.
I'll support it. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Resolution 26-0780, approval of a grant award from the Health Resources and Service Administration, HRSA, in the amount of $724,450 to provide for the Healthy Start program in Genesee County's Health Department. The budget for this is grant is attached.
So move it. Support.
Is there any comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Resolution 26-0812, approval of an increase to the purchase order to Genesee Group Incorporated in the amount of $26,000 for the revised total of $61,000 to provide for additional boxes for the USDA Supplemental Food Program. The cost of this increase will be paid from the accounts listed.
Support.
Is there any comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Resolution 26-0819, approval of request to increase the purchase order to Oliver Packaging in the amount of $17,100 for a total amount not to exceed $91,900 to provide for additional packing supplies at Genesee County's Community Action Resource Department. The cost of this increase will be paid from the accounts listed.
Support.
Anybody have any comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Resolution 26-0820, approval of an increase to the purchase order for Gordon Food Service in the amount of $147,368.64 for the revised total of $1,233,694.62 to provide additional food service products and supplies at Genesee County's Community Action Resource Center, or Department. The cost of this increase will be paid from the accounts listed.
So moved.
Support.
Any comments or questions? Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Resolution 26-0821, approval of an increase to a purchase order for U.S. Foods in the amount of $92,147 for a revised total of $226,176.88 to provide for additional food service products and supplies of Genesee County's Community Action Resource Department. The cost of this increase will be paid from the accounts listed.
So moved.
Support.
Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Resolution 26-0823, approval of the fiscal year 26-27 Child Care Fund Annual Plan and Budget.
So moved.
Support. Is there any comments or questions?
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Shoemaker,
can we
please.
have a little bit of more explanation of this program again?
Sure, Sam Olson from the court can give you all that information.
Good evening, Commissioners. Sam Olson, Juvenile and Probate Court Administrator. The Annual Child Care Fund is the funding mechanism, a shared funding mechanisms for court-involved youth and child welfare services. And so it's partnership between the state of Michigan and local courts and counties. So anything associated with court-involved youth and child welfare in this court in the county is largely funded by the Child Care Fund. So that's what comprises this ask today. So this is money that the county signs off on, appropriates, and then the courts and the county receive in revenue. I shouldn't say revenue, but reimbursement, 50% for certain items and 75% for like community-based services. That's a kind of a quick and dirty summary of what the child care fund entails.
Have we seen these numbers decrease the amount of youth involved in this or increase?
We've, the dockets last year were, you know, they are what they are. So there's a framework where MDHHS, from the CPS side of things, they'll put forth petitions for abuse and neglect in conjunction with the prosecutor. Once they're in the jurisdiction of the court would, you know, utilize whatever funds are appropriate given the caseload to manage those cases. So a large component of child care fund incentives is allowing the court to divert sort of unnecessary filings, I'll say. So low risk youth that are not inclined to reoffend, if you will. Courts are incentivized to not allow those go through the system. So I don't have any like case docket information for you at this time, but I will say that we took an intentional view of our cases, our personnel, and our existing personnel and other like the JJC, and we've lowered our general fund request from this time last year for the child care fund.
Thanks. What I'm just trying to get is an understanding is that I believe, is my opinion, that the need is greater. It continues to be greater. Our funding from the state has not increased enough to keep up with it, and we've not increased our funding enough to keep up with it also at that rate. So if you could just give me some numbers of comparably to what you had a couple of years ago compared to how many people we're serving now or trying to serve, or the need that is served. I'm just trying to understand that, because I believe I believe the state's not funded enough, and I think unfortunately, as we do our minimum amount to match, we're incapable right now with the financial situation we are in to fund it additionally. So I'd just like to know where we are, and if you could bring me how much of an increase the state has actually given you over the.
Yeah, I can give you a multi-year, you know, data from a financial perspective and caseload perspective, and folks we have, and I'd be happy to do that.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Sam, could you CC me on that too? I want to know the number of cases plus the amount of money too.
I'd be happy to get that information.
Okay. Anybody else? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Resolution 26-0826, approval of a proposed budget amendment to the 25-26 appropriations resolution for various line items as described in the attached budget adjustment.
Support.
Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Approval 26-80827, approval of a proposed amendment to the 25-26 appropriations resolution transferring $2,500 from the general fund balance to account as follows. The budget adjustment allows for additional process server services at Genesee County's prosecutor's office. Anybody have any comments or questions? Mr. Shoemaker.
Thank you. Mine's more general than just this. We've just approved several additions of dollars here and there, and to add to what Commissioner Lloyd had said earlier, when we're approving this next budget and it's so tight, we're always asked. I've not been down here a year where we're not asked for additional funds or additional funding like this. So I hate to see the budget so tight, and I know they'll work on it, and that's why I didn't talk about it a lot tonight during Crystal's presentation, because I know she will work on it and the Director of Administration will work on it. But just moving forward, you know, we got to keep our eye on this, because we do want to be able to, you know, when we have these things come up, fund them. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Anybody else have any questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Resolution 26-0872, approval of request to place a renewed question on the November 26th ballot for the Genesee County Animal Care millage.
Move it.
We have Motion and support. Is there anybody have any questions or comments on this millage? See,
Mr. Chair, I'll just point out for the public that this is indeed a renewal and not a rate increase.
thank you, Mr. Wayhill. Anybody else? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. We don't have any other business. We adjourn at whatever time it is. Thank you.
All right, I'd like to call government operations to order at 7:19 PM. Roll call, Mr. Freeman.
Commissioner Lloyd,
Present.
Commissioner Winfrey,
Here.
Commissioner Getzinger, Commissioner Brown, Commissioner Avery, Commissioner Shoemaker, Commissioner Kuznow,
Here.
Commissioner Wayhill,
Here.
Commissioner Flewelling. Here.
All right, approval of meeting minutes from previous meeting.
Move 'em. Support.
Been moved and supported. Any discussion, any amendments? Seeing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Now we have our public comment portion of our meeting. Is there anyone who wishes to speak before this committee? Anyone desiring to speak? Seeing no one desiring to speak, public comment is now closed. Director of Administration, I'm assuming that presentation has already taken place?
Correct.
Now we come to our new business. There is no old business. Resolution 2026-0644, approval of an agreement between Genesee County and Carpal Solutions in amount not to exceed $118,000 to provide for the annual subscription cost of the publication that is listed. It's been moved by Commissioner Shoemaker, supported by Commissioner Winfrey. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Resolution 2026-0651, approval of recommendation of the Genesee County Surveyor to appoint the remuneration peer review committee members for 2026 grant year. Has been moved by Commissioner Shoemaker, supported by Commissioner Avery. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Resolution 2026-0691, approval of a grant award from the State Court Administrative Office in the amount of $27,000 to provide for additional supervised parenting time services. It's been moved by Commissioner Shoemaker. Any support? Supported by Commissioner Avery. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Resolution 2026-0694, approval of a grant award from the Michigan DNR in amount not to exceed $28,700 to provide for the 2026 Marine Safety Program. A copy of the budget is attached. An increase in general fund budget of $9,567 from fund balance. Moved by Commissioner Kuzno, I believe.
Shoemaker now supported.
Supported by Commissioner Kuzno. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Resolution 2026-0704, approval of request by Genesee County Sheriff's Office for the purchase of a Virage truck driving simulator in the amount of $155,612 to expand workforce development for the Genesee County Jail Ignite course offerings. What's your pleasure?
So move.
Moved by Commissioner Avery, supported by Commissioner Winfrey. Any discussion? Seeing none, Commissioner Kuzno, then Commissioner Shoemaker.
Is this already installed? Yeah.
That was the question? Yes, it is.
Okay, so the request is coming after you've already purchased it?
It was set up in good faith by the company to give us a demonstration for our last Ignite graduation.
Okay, and it's been fully integrated into our IT system?
I don't believe that is the case.
Yeah, how much is it gonna cost us to integrate this into our IT?
Don't believe there's any other cost of it. I know that IT had signed off on it. Josh, maybe you can help me out with that. I don't believe there's any other cost involved in the installation.
Yeah, just opportunity costs, I suppose, but yeah, no additional costs, I don't believe, additional purchases to install.
Correct.
I'm through.
Commissioner Shoemaker.
I guess I'm a little upset by this. $155,000 being installed before we even asked to say we're gonna improve it. And then there's additional costs, like Mr. Freeman said, there's opportunity costs. You got our IT department get to bring these individuals down to train. I'm sure it's a different process than the rest of the individuals actually in the facility. we are at a tight budget situation here. We've been this last year. Stuff like this, it's happened before, and I'm sorry. I mean, this is crazy. It's $155,000. Plus, there is some time and money for IT. I guarantee there is. Does it hook up to our system through the internet? I guarantee it does. So there is some. There's some security. Guess what? Anything hooks up to the internet, because there's data being exchanged. Guess what? There's cost to that. Not an ask from us. I think it's an insult. I'm very disappointed. This is not how if would we do this with any of our department heads, but because it's a co-elected, we sit there and allow it? Shoot, the clerk came to us for a little stand for $3,000. Didn't just put it in and say, hey, I needed it. Like I said, I'm voting no, just the fact the way it was done. On top of it, I think there's a lot of costs that go on with this program outside of just what you're seeing here. A lot of man hours that you can't put a time to. You know, and we're on a short budget. We've got a contract negotiations next year, and I want it to be, you know, it's gonna be tight, talking to our staff and our employees. Because they can see the budget, they're intelligent enough to figure this out. So, like I said, I don't think this is practice. I don't think we should pass it, because guess what? I think it sets precedent to do what you want. And what's the old adage? Better to do it and ask for forgiveness later. And that's where we are with this. So I'm a no. Thank you.
I would like to point out that it's give grant money. There's no general fund dollar ask.
Commissioner Shoemaker.
If I may, there is additional funding to it. There was additional funding to IT. There's additional funding for the space being taken up. And yes, it's the sheriff's office, it's his building, but we're responsible for paying for it. So if anytime somebody can get a grant, we just approved a bunch of grants. So anytime, as long as the grant's fine, we'll just do it whatever we want. Like I said, it sets a sad precedent. Once again, like I said, I don't agree that that's the only cost. Because I've been around long enough to know that, guess what? There are many costs. One, to install and taking care of it. Our floor space. There's a cost to run the simulators. Simulators aren't cheap to run. Okay, your power bill is gonna go up on these things. It's not inexpensive. And then you've got man hours. Like I said, I just think it sets a bad precedent, and I'm sorry, you know, it's not gonna go along with this. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Flewelling and then Commissioner Winfrey.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Captain Cronkite, what else can the GIVE grant pay for? What other types of things with it? You don't know? Okay. Okay.
Exactly what
I'm just curious
I
if
know
that.
there's a lot of equipment that was purchased off of that, but exactly to set.
Sure.
I can give you a list.
Yeah, if you could for next week, if you know, personnel, things like that can be paid for out of this grant, I'd like to know that.
I will get that for you.
Because $155,000 is a lot of money, and I know I think we had something not too long ago about a couple of deputies and lieutenant's position, I think, that was tied to some of the Ignite stuff. Don't quote me on that,
Yeah,
but you know what I mean? I just, how many, with this simulator, is there, how many jail personnel have to be there while this is up and running?
There's an outside person that teaches that Ignite class that would come out here and do that, and there's no cost to the county for that part of it.
Okay. Is there continued maintenance agreements and stuff like that for this thing?
I don't know the answer to that. I can
Okay.
have that answer for you.
Yeah, if you could, please, yeah. Yeah, right, sure.
It wasn't my project, I'm just happy.
No,
to
no,
be
I
the guy
got
to
you.
come answer
You're the one that has
questions
to be
today.
here to present it. I get it.
Right.
Good.
Commissioner Winfrey.
Yeah, I agree that, with Commissioner Shoemaker, that we should not have put the cart before the horse, but I don't think that we should penalize those Ignite students. And from what I understand, this will help them secure their CDL license so that they can get gainful employment, once they leave, the county jail. So I don't think that we should, penalize those, students. I mean, it seems like a good program, and, I mean, procedurally, it was incorrect, but I think the benefit outweighs that incorrectness.
All right, Commissioner Wayhill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Captain, it sounds like this is not your project.
Not my project.
Okay. Would it, so I agree with the others that have requested some information, and send it to all commissioners,
Yes.
or send it to Josh and he'll get it to all of us. Could the person whose project it is come before us next week?
Absolutely.
I would make that request just so we can ask some questions.
He was tied up today, so.
Understood. I appreciate you pinch hitting. You didn't expect all this probably. But I would say, I am curious, and I'll wait till next week on the sequencing of, sounded like there was a vendor that supplied this. We tested it out. It was delivered, installed, tested out. Sounds like in theory, if we were to not approve this tonight, the vendor would take it away.
I do believe that, yes.
Well, yeah, we'll know more, I guess, next week. I'm also curious as to the grant, whether this purchase was originally written into the grant budget, and then when we accepted the GIVE grant, if that item was accepted by us as part of accepting the grant. So that's another question I have. Because frequently, I mean, I write a lot of grants for the college, and we will detail in the budget the names of pieces of equipment, the personnel costs, all of that. So I'm curious as to whether this was in,
Don't believe it was, but I'll
or if
find
it was
out.
an add-on after the fact.
After the fact.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Captain. Appreciate you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any additional discussion? I want to echo the sentiments of my, all of my colleagues that have spoken, and excellent questioners. Chairman Wayhill, who is the person whose project it is?
Captain Kennemer.
Captain Kennemer. Okay, so you'll reach out to him.
Yeah,
And
he wanted to be here tonight, but he was unable.
Okay, okay. No, he's normally here, I believe, so if he's here, that will be great. All right. Okay, any additional discussion on 2026-0704? All right, seeing no more discussion, all in favor of moving it to the full board meeting, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, nay?
Nay.
Nay.
Okay, motion fails. It was
Roll
3 and
call,
3.
please.
3 in favor and, no, excuse me. Let's do a voice roll call. I believe it was 4 and 3 against.
Commissioner Lloyd,
Yes.
Commissioner Winfrey,
Yes.
Commissioner Avery,
Yes.
Commissioner Shoemaker,
No.
Commissioner Kuzma,
No.
Commissioner Wayhill,
Yes.
Commissioner Flewelling.
No.
Motion passes 4-3. It's a majority of the people present for committee meetings.
I'm sitting here looking like, I'm like, what? Okay, all right. Motion passes. So you want to have them here next week, it passed to the next meeting. All right, tell them it was slim. Okay.
Healthy backup.
Tell, let me stop. Okay, all right. Resolution 2026-0711, approval of an amendment to prior resolution 2026-0257 for a purchase order to the Mass Transportation Authority for the fiscal year ending in 2026, an additional amount not to exceed $3,800 to provide for transportation services for mental health corps participants. What's your pleasure?
I move it. Support.
Moved by Commissioner Winfrey, supported by Commissioner Avery. Discussion, Commissioner Shoemaker.
Yes, could somebody tell me what account that actually is? 2925-294-00913-005?
I believe it's out of the health department, but oh, is it? Nope, it's from Sam. Court.
It's a specialty court. Good evening.
Name, please, and department.
Sam Olson, Juvenile and Probate Court Administrator. I'm here on behalf of a colleague from the Circuit Court. This would be the specialty court, one of the specialty court funds. I believe it's mental health court.
And where did those funds come from?
Those are grant funding from the state of Michigan.
So, just two things I see here, and this is, and I want to make sure people with mental health is to get to their appointments, but here's something. You've got Mass Transit we're cutting a check to, which just has a millage on the ballot that we're paying taxes on from there. And then we also have GHS, we pay a mental health millage to. And then we're cutting a check from what we get from the state so they can be paid to provide those services, even though people think that's what they're voting for. So, thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for Sam for coming up.
All right, any additional discussion? Commissioner Kuzma, did I see you're all set?
Yeah, he answered my question.
Okay, all right. All right, seeing no additional discussion, all in favor on 0711, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay.
Nay.
All right, motion passes. Resolution 2026-0729, approval of an agreement between Genesee County and Flace. What is it? Flice. All right, Genesee County and Flice and Van den Brink, Inc., and an amount not to exceed $31,140 to extend surveying
Move it.
services for the county for the 2026 Genesee County Remuneration Grant for the period commencing January 1st, 2026 through December 31st, 2026. Moved by Commissioner Flewelling, supported by,
Moved, supported.
moved by
Shoemaker,
Shoemaker.
Maker
supported
supported.
by Flewelling.
All right, supported by Flewelling. All right, any discussion? Commissioner Flewelling.
Is there anybody here who can speak to this?
Yep, Ken Kalita from GIS, he's our go-between with the county surveyor,
All right. Perfect.
something he enjoys very much.
We don't want any injuries coming up here.
Good evening, Ken. So my question is on these two, and I think there's another one or two on Public Works. I see the dates are 6 months old. January 1st, 2026 to December. Why is that?
It's just a lag in our processing. It always happens. We don't get the grant into the state typically until the very end of the year. So December, it's in just before the end of the year, so December 31st, literally sometimes.
Okay.
And then we have to have the previous year's grant closed out before they will actually process the new grant, the new application.
Okay.
So that's kind of baked in, so unless we can do both, get the application into them earlier and get our work done.
So did you
sooner.
just get awarded this grant recently? But
Yeah.
the
It was
period is
approved, it was approved
approved
recently, yeah.
just recently?
Yeah, from the state, yeah.
Okay, so it was a state issue.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
combination, kind of. Their processing is slow, we get it to them on a certain schedule that,
But you get it to them on time?
the grants always get in on time, yes.
Okay. So it's a state thing. Thank you.
Any additional discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Wayhill,
I wonder if, while we have you at the microphone, if you could explain what remonumentation is. I learned a lot about that at your budget hearing.
Okay.
And just
sure.
like the 30 seconds on it.
So the monuments, our survey monuments, put into the county originally in 1822. Starting in 1992, they started a program to revisit all of those systematically and replace missing ones, replace the ones that are damaged. A few years ago, they finished the process of visiting all those, I'd say maybe 5 years ago. And then the state had required that we would, instead of going to maintenance mode, that we set interior corners. So there's every quarter mile across the county in a grid pattern, there's these monuments, and that's a total of right around 3,200, 3,300. It varies a little bit because if they would fall in water, they wouldn't actually set those and that sort of thing. So it's key to all the, every real property parcel of the county ties into one of those in some form or fashion, either directly through its survey description, or if you're in a platted subdivision, the subdivision itself would tie into that, and then, you know, you would have a reference that way, so.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Wasn't that good?
Yeah,
What'd you think?
that was 60 seconds. Okay. No, thank you, great job. Thank you so much, appreciate you. Any additional discussion? All right, seeing none. Did we vote? Oh, we didn't vote. Seeing no discussion, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, all opposed? Nay? Okay, motion passes. Resolution 2026-0730, approval of an agreement between Genesee County and Davis Land Surveying and Engineering, Inc., an amount not to exceed $8,650 to extend surveying services for the county for the 2026 Genesee County Remonumentation Grant for the period commencing January 1st, 2026 through December 31st, 2026. So it's moved by Commissioner Shoemaker.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Supported by Chairman Wayhill. Any discussion?
I used to have trouble with that word too. So.
I'm an expert now. Yeah, I read it a couple times as remuneration, and then when I looked at it this time, I said, wait a minute, that's not right. It's an M, right? Okay, any discussion, seeing it, no discussion, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. All right, motion passes. Resolution 2026-0767, approval of purchase order to involve DAD, I know how to pronounce that, for the fiscal year ending in 2026, an amount not to exceed $3,500 to provide services to the participants of the specialty court programs through the Seventh Circuit Court. What's your pleasure?
Support. Yeah, support.
Moved by Commissioner Winfrey, supported by Commissioner Avery. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Resolution 2026-0768, approval to amend purchase order to New Paths, Inc., not to exceed an additional $7,510 to provide for a substance use treatment service in Genesee County's specialty courts. What's your pleasure?
So, support.
All right, moved by Commissioner Winfrey, supported by Commissioner Avery. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, aye. All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Resolution 2026-0806, approval of a resolution recognizing July 2026 as Disability Pride Month in Genesee County. What's your pleasure?
I'll move it. Support.
All right, moved by Commissioner Winfrey, supported by Commissioner Avery. I'm going to read the resolution, but I'm going to ask a question before I read it. Do we need to read these resolutions every time they come through?
That's
Is it
just been the
necessary?
that's just been the practice.
It's been a practice, we don't have to, but it has been a practice.
Okay, do you want
It's
that
been a
practice to
practice in
continue?
recent times.
Okay, so do you want me to keep reading them, or do I need to read them?
I vote no.
Yeah, that's a real question.
You want to throw a monumentation in there?
Okay, I'm not gonna read it
Okay.
if there's no opposition. Okay, all right. So it's been moved and supported. I know the board, we've read it, and it's online for the public to review as well. All right, it's been moved and supported. Any discussion? Commissioner Shoemaker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just, as I've said before, I mean, I don't mind these resolutions, but I brought one a couple weeks ago with the same, how do I put this, sentiment, and unfortunately got voted down when we got to the full board, if I remember correctly, from there. But one, a couple things, you know, they should be coming the month before, as we've discussed, which I brought mine last month for this and several other issues. You know, that's kind of the practice we've done. I will be voting no on this one, even though I wrote the last one. My opinion is, and it still will remain, that pride, unfortunately for my beliefs and others that I've spoken with, is a sin. And, you know, to honor someone for their accomplishments is a great thing. But guess what? I just have to go no on this. So I appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any discussion? And as Commissioner Shoemaker and I discussed, this resolution does not speak to the details of the resolution are in the resolution for the public to understand the nature of this resolution versus other resolutions that we may have passed so I'll just leave it there. The details are in the resolution.
Mr., if I might, I just want to point out that the way I read it, it's, for folks that haven't read it, it's to honor the signing by former President Bush, H.W. Bush, of the Americans with Disabilities Act, which was done in July of 1990. Yep. That's sort of the essence of it, as I understand it. So that's the Cliff's Notes.
Yes. All right, any additional discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, nay.
Nay.
Okay, motion passes. All right, that brings us to the last resolution of Government Operations, Resolution 2026-0867, approval to review and accept the attached MOU allowing the Michigan Drone Association, MDA, to install a drone detection sensor on the rooftop of the Genesee County Administration Building. Is there?
Move it.
It's been moved by, who moved it? Commissioner Flewelling, supported by Commissioner Avery. Is there discussion? Before we have discussion if we can. Can we have somebody come up and explain this? What's the rationale? What's the necessity? You know, where did the request originate? What are you looking to resolve? And then we'll go to discussion.
Good evening, everybody.
Good
Chris
evening.
Metropolis, I'm your emergency manager. So this came about, the Michigan Drone Association came to me and was asking about the possibility of placing this device on top of the roof. One of the things it does is when a drone goes up in the air, it gives off a signal that the FAA can track. It picks up that signal and it'll tell us where the drone is and where the operator is. My big concern, the reason that I am looking forward to having this, we host a lot of events right in the downtown area. And drones are being used more and more for nefarious reasons. And if I can prevent anything from happening by having this tracker, I think it's a great thing.
All right, let's go to discussion. Saw a couple hands. Commissioner Shoemaker.
You know, we had a lot of people down here upset with, you know, the cameras, the flock cameras and all the other stuff. So you're telling me, through the chair, please, that when the drone is launched, if my kid's in his yard and he launches the drone, you're gonna tell that my kid's got a drone in the air?
So this is for commercial grade drones.
So every time a real estate agent launches one of these things, or they hire a company to do this, to, you know, how they do flyovers of the houses and all this, it's gonna tell somebody that that's in the air, and who owns it has it.
I do not know the range on this one. I know it covers the downtown area, but yes, so if a real estate agent puts a drone up in the air to take pictures of your yard, yes, it sends a signal out, yes, the FAA is tracking it.
Even if it's just on their own property, if it doesn't do anything more than just on the homeowner's property, we know who's doing it.
Anybody who flies a drone for commercial purposes has to have a drone's license, and yes, it gives off that signal.
But, well, example, if I may, Mr. Chair, please. So let's say I have my license, and I'm at my property, and I'm just messing around, learning and practicing, training, you know, I mean, doing some new skills or whatever. It's like, that's gonna tell them that I've got a drone in the air?
To my understanding, that drone will still give off that signal.
You know, this is getting, I mean, and I support the flocks. I know what it does for you guys, and I know how it helps you do your job, but this is getting to the point where we're in everybody's business. You know, it's a slippery slope. I've said it before. So, like I said, I appreciate you letting me know. So I thank you for coming up and talking about it. Are we paying for the power on this unit also when it's on the roof?
Correct. That's the one county cost. It would be the 110 electrical.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Kuzno.
Just for a point of clarification for me, I know that a lot of agricultural people out in the ag world, they have drones to do a lot of different things, including spraying their fields, et cetera. Are those commercial? I have to have a license to put those up, and then you would be monitoring it if it's within range?
If it's within the range of this system, yes, it'll pick it up. Whether I'm no drone expert.
I can answer a few of the questions.
There you go.
Yes, it would pick it up. It's used primarily for detection for flying over controlled airspaces. So like when the downtown is having a function down here, it would be controlled airspace. That would be the time that they'd be monitoring that. That's probably not gonna be.
So it's not a 24/7, it's not a 24/7
I don't
thing?
believe it to be monitored 24/7. It's used primarily for special events and for any time that there is a belief that a drone is flying over a controlled airspace.
So
Us being so close to the airport, the drones are really controlled in this area because it can get into the flight path and be a problem. So that's what.
Well, I saw that right away in that presentation in the initial thing. Then who decides when it's to be monitored?
It's a request through that drone association that wants to put it on the roof. So when there's a
No,
special event.
when there's an event, when, you know, downtown Flint has a event going on, How do you know to turn it on? Because they contacted you?
So right now, the state police has one that they use for special events, and they bring it up and they set it up, and that's how it operates. This one will be in place all the time, so that if there's a pop-up event down here, we have a drone flying, we could find out who's flying that drone. That's what it's used for.
So it'd be on all the time, be
It would be
24/7?
on all the time up here, but not monitored when we needed it to find out who's flying what drone.
Okay, then out at the airport, then you don't know if it would reach that or not?
I don't know the range on this one. I haven't done the research on the one that they're putting.
I'd kind of like to know that answer between now and next week.
I can get you that.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Flewell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So just to clarify, the only drones that this detects are commercial drones that the FAA already monitors.
I
Right.
believe it detects all drones, to be honest.
Detects all drones.
I believe it detects all drones, because it sends out a signal. I have to find out for sure, but I think it.
Well, find out next week for me if you would, because if it's just commercial
I
drones,
believe it can fly any drone.
it can find the drone, it can find the operator.
Correct.
Okay, find out if you could for next week, because the reason I ask that is because if you have a commercial drone license, you go get your license, you're already consenting to the FAA monitoring your drone and your activities. And this is nothing different over and above that.
But if you're gonna use it for nefarious reasons, you're not.
No, 100%, no, I don't disagree with that. What I'm saying is maybe to alleviate some of the,
I know what you're saying.
some of the frustration of their surveillance state, you know, the deep state type stuff, if you go and get a commercial drone operator's license, whether it's for farming, for real estate, for whatever it might be, you're already signing a consent saying that the FAA is gonna monitor everything you do, especially here, 10 miles from an airport, right? So if you could for next week, find out if this is any different than that, or if it's, I go to Walmart and buy my kid a $20 drone, is he gonna pick that up when he's down here for whatever?
We'll pick it up, it flies over any controlled airspace. Like over top of the jail is controlled airspace. You can't
Well,
fly over top of that.
For sure.
Pick it up.
So my hope is for next week, there was a scheduling conflict. Mr. Rybar wasn't able to make it this week. He's president of the Michigan Drone Association. To have him here next week, he will be able to answer all your questions specifically.
My,
Okay, Commissioner,
Well, you know, when I hear we're trying to stop people with nefarious reasons, I think the same thing is a lot of gun laws. The law-abiding citizen has their license, they have their gun. It's the person who's not registered. So who you gonna pick up? If I have a nefarious plan, you're not gonna tell it's me flying it anyways, because guess what? I'm not licensed in this thing. I'm just buying it somewhere, picking it up or building it, because you can build them yourself also.
It picks up the signal between the controller and the drone.
So you're gonna tell where they're at then?
Correct.
So you'll know, see, that gets a little even creepier. You know, because if, like I said, this is starting to weigh on the edge of, okay, how much do you need to know what I'm doing every day of my life? If you're a resident of this, and, you know, everybody in this country is supposed to be presumed, you know, innocent, you know, unless they've proven it in a court of law. So I just, these things just keep getting more and more out of control with the control portion of it. I understand the flock thing, guess what? And I believe our people will not violate that rule. But you're talking an outside group now that actually has access. This isn't the sheriff's department telling me, guess what, we're gonna monitor. It's the group that's monitoring it, and we're working with them.
Correct.
So, okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Kuzno, then Commissioner Flewell.
I assume this is not time sensitive,
No, sir.
so.
I did have a hope to make sure and have it up before the crimp, but it can wait.
Okay, so, you know, we can, being there's a lot of questions that I and others have, we could, you know, wait for you to get those answers and to set a time for whatever gentleman you need to talk to bring in here to,
Absolutely.
at a future, date.
Yeah.
Okay, for that
Put it
reason.
out to the next committee meeting, we can have him present at the next committee meeting and then take it to full.
Well, I would like the answers before I'm sitting here and have to make a decision at the last second. You know, so, you know, at this point in time, I'm gonna say no. I'm not gonna say in the end, I'm gonna say no, but right now I gotta say no until I get answers.
Commissioner Flewell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Can you tell us who the membership of the Michigan Drone Association is?
It's made up of all sworn police officers throughout the state. That drone operators for police agencies make up this association.
So it's not civilian drone operators?
Civilians have no access to this information.
Okay.
It's all sworn law enforcement.
Okay.
Any additional discussion? I support it. I support it, because, you know, especially with the advancements, and I'm all for, you know, privacy and those kinds of things, but I'm also for safety over privacy. Because with all of the advancements in terms of the manufacturing of drones and the capability of drones, you know, and I'm ignorant to the extent of the designs. I mean, are there drones that can carry weapons or carry, you know, chemical agents? You know, I know that drones can be used for evasive reasons as well. You know, I know when I was considering running for political office, I'd wake up and on 2 occasions, then there was another occasion where there's a drone right outside of my window, right looking inside of my window, right? And one of those instances, TMI, I was, you know, on my way to the shower, you understand? And look at the window, and the drone backs off and drops down, somebody grabs the drone and goes around the side of my building. I like for law enforcement to be able to track who had that drone. I had no way, I didn't have my glasses on, so I didn't even get a good look at their face. So I think that if that's happening, you know, folks are having it with the advancements, I would like for law enforcement, and I believe there are probably residents in my district as well, you know. They were in a similar situation, they would want somebody to be able to track and figure out who that was. And so, and in particular, you talk about events like the CRIM and so on and so forth, you know, it's not for the folks that will be, you know, honest community members. It's for the folks that may have not the most productive intentions. And right now, it seems like you guys don't have any way of determining who or what or when. And that's not necessarily good either. Maybe it's a person at the CRIM just going through taking pictures of the crowd, or maybe they're, I don't know. So I support it. I'm gonna vote for it tonight to go to the full committee if it passes or what have you. But I would like more information as questions my colleagues ask, because some of those questions, I'd like to have some of those answers to it too. So that's just me. I'm only one vote. Any additional discussion?
So, Mr. Lloyd, if you could speak to what potentially could happen if someone had a nefarious interest in flying a drone above, say, a crowd in a controlled airspace.
So part of my duties as your emergency manager is to stay up on intel that is provided to me from the feds in the state. And drones are more and more being used for pre-operational scanning and to determine locations. Things that are probably discussed better not on open public record because of the intel that I do receive. But drones can be equipped with all kinds of things that can cause harm to people. And I believe it's my duty to make sure that those things can't happen.
And Mr. Chair, if I might, the antenna, is it called an antenna?
Yeah, it's a very small, very lightweight. It kind of looks like a disc on top of a tripod.
Okay, and am I right, based on what you've written, I'm reading your memo, or their memo, I guess, and then what you've said, it'll be on the top of this building,
Correct.
if it's approved, and it will monitor the airspace above events that are restricted airspace, and it's restricted because either it's a facility like the jail, which is highly sensitive, or possibly something like the CRIM, or back to the bricks where you've got several thousand people down here who might be a target
Correct.
potentially for that kind of technology to do harm to.
Correct.
And beyond this building, would it get to neighborhoods where, so you've got, you know, I don't have a drone, but if I were flying one out in Flint Township, potentially you could detect it?
Unfortunately, I
Not sure.
I do not have a good answer
Okay.
for you. Mr. Rybar will be able to answer that.
Is there any, thus far, the focus has been on events on the ground and a drone's ability to do something related to those. Does this have any advantage or any, does it relate to any planes coming through, helicopters, planes, or is it simply monitoring drones that are hovering above?
It only does drones.
Say again?
It does the drones. It doesn't do anything with aircraft other than.
No, I know that. I'm wondering whether there's an advantage to having this on the roof to improve airspace awareness so that low-flying aircraft know that drones are in the area. Is that part of it or no? I didn't really read that in here.
The aircraft picks up the drone in its radar system.
So they already have that.
They would pick it up
Okay. So this is really about,
from, but they would know that there's another aircraft in that area, and they would.
this is really more about public safety then, an emergent. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any additional discussion? All right, yeah, I have a little bit more. Now that I think about it, no, I'm just kidding. Here's the piece. I would like to know, as my colleague asked, who's on the board, but I'd like to know who will have access to the information, because it doesn't appear that this is going, that this detection equipment is going to be owned by Genesee County.
Correct. So the information is actually stored with Airspace Link. I made sure and look this up because I know Mr. Shoemaker's big on where the data is. This is a company that the state, Michigan State Capitol uses them. They're approved by the FAA and they, I have no idea what this actually means, but it says information security certifications, including SOC 2 Type 2 and ISO 27001:2022. Some ISO rating that is way above my brain.
What if we had somebody come in and maybe do a presentation on this?
I mean, we,
Because there's a lot of, when I just read this again, there's a lot of questions that come up.
so I'll make a motion to postpone to the next Government Ops Committee meeting.
Just support.
I'd say I'd support it, but I'd say, could I ask, before we go that far, to Corporation Counsel, if I may, through the chair, have we discussed liability for us with this? There's something to look into before we go, once this date comes up, if you could, Ben, just get a chance.
Just for clarification, do you have?
An example, what I'm thinking of?
Yeah.
Well, I got a couple examples. One, let's say it's not mounted correctly and a strong wind takes it off the roof and it lands on somebody. We're responsible. That's gonna come after us. We know that. Two, let's say that somebody says, we're gonna go through the courts, because we don't think we should have been tracked with what we were doing. And guess what? They're gonna sue. Who are they gonna sue?
Because we didn't stop them?
Because we've allowed it to be on our facility, so we're compliant with it. We're tracking it. We're gonna use, we're actually said we're gonna use the equipment down here to monitor events. There's liability that comes with all those things. And we need to look into those things before we do them, because I think as we start entering this phase where technology takes more and more precedence in our life as far as what we're into, I think you're gonna find people that are upset with this. And I think the next form of action, instead of protesting the street and doing things to burn a car or something like that, is actually to go to the courts. And I think, well, we have liability to end up in court over this.
I'm not sure I'm understanding the question, so that I can look it up.
Okay.
Are you saying that people
Let-
maybe complain about an invasion of privacy?
Privacy, yes,
So would we have
Freedoms.
liability for that claim if we allow this?
yes.
Okay.
Thank you. More elegantly put, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, so the motion, subsequent motion's been made to postpone. It's been supported, Commissioner Kuzino.
Mr. Shoemaker asked some of what I wanted to know, but revolving around that is also FOIA. It's owned by somebody else, like the flock cameras are. And I know you're just monitoring and knowing when something's going up. You're not taking any pictures or anything. But is that information that that company's collecting, is that foiable?
I would imagine it would, but,
Yeah, well, that's more of a question I would like, corporate counsel to find out.
have to answer for you at the presentation. It sounds like it could end up being one of those situations. I think we had something else before where someone tried to FOIA something and we're like, we don't own the data, so we turned down the request kind of thing. So it could end up being one of those kind of things. And then, so originally when I made my comments, it wasn't registering to me that it wasn't going to be owned by, say, Genesee County through the Sheriff's Department. Would it be in a separate organization? I don't know enough about the organization to know. You understand? I'll just end my comments there. So is motion been moved and supported to postpone? Is there any discussion, any further discussion? Okay, and you all, for our next committee meeting through Mr. Freeman, you all have some folks here to be able to talk to us about it, share with. All right, seeing no additional discussion, all in favor of the postponement, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, nay? All right, motion passes, item has been postponed. It brings us to the end of our governmental operations agenda, adjourned at 8:04 p.m.
Okay, we'll call to order the Human Services Committee at 8:05 p.m. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Lloyd,
Present.
Commissioner Winfrey,
Here.
Commissioner Getzinger, Commissioner Brown, Commissioner Avery, Commissioner Shoemaker,
Present.
Commissioner Kuzinoff,
Here.
Commissioner Wayhill,
Here.
Commissioner Flewelling.
Present.
Entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Support.
Properly moved, supported. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Are there any public comments to this committee? Any public comments? Please state your name and place of residence.
Yes, sir. My name is Brooke Gow. I am from Argentine, Michigan. I am also the Executive Director of Family Service Agency in Michigan. I'm sure you've seen my face several times up here before talking about the never-ending conversation of the village budget and allocation. I apologize to be up here again, but I just really wanted to drive home some of the points that Ms. Bouchard from office made earlier. 7 out of the 9 task force members that were appointed were volunteers, goers, or affiliates of senior centers. There was an obvious bias throughout all of the meetings for senior centers off the bat, and there was also an obvious understanding or lack of understanding of provider programs. But when the resolution came out, I, as well as many others, were under the impression that these task force members were to be unbiased individuals making these decisions and recommendations. And what I really want to emphasize today is that the lack of involvement, as I stated last month, that service providers had, and I had commented this at the meeting last month as well, which was followed up with a rebuttal to my claim that service providers were involved. And his example was the 3-page letter that was requested from service providers. Now, this really was not an opportunity at all to talk about my programs, who we are, what we do, our legacy with the senior millage, but instead we were asked to respond in a 3-page format to the 3 statements or questions: unmet needs of seniors, underserved needs for seniors, gaps in service for seniors, and the 2-minute public comment was to summarize what was in that letter. That was the extent of our involvement with this task force. Now, there's votes coming up here today, and while I agree with some, I'm having a hard time understanding others. And what I can tell you is that a 30% increase to my medical transport program can help us provide 400 more rides every year. And this is a program that gets folks to their doctors that would otherwise go without care. And as we speak, we deny over 120 rides every single month. And so I just leave you all with this. What is an innovation fund? And how was a 5% flat increase decided for all senior centers? Thank you.
Are there any further public comments? Any further public comments to this committee? Hearing none, public comments are now closed. Any communications?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
there
sir.
will be one add-on resolution. I did send a notification to the full board on this, and it deals with the Genesee County Medical Control Authority and a transition plan that they're putting in place for
retirement of the current ED and the hiring of a new ED. That'll be at the end.
All right, any old business? New business, resolution 2026-0726. Approval of round two agreement between Genesee County and VAAA in the amount of $1,115,923 to fund the home delivered and concrete meal programs for the period commencing October 1, 25 through September 30th, 26.
Support.
Properly moved and supported. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Resolution 2026-0748, approval of a grant award from the Water Residential Assistance Program, WRAP, in the amount of $33,500 to provide water utility arrearage assistance payments.
Support.
Properly moved and supported. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Resolution 26-0774, approval of an agreement between Genesee County and HSA in an amount not to exceed $11,702,202 to provide for a personnel agreement for the 2026-27 Head Start program year. The cost of this agreement will be paid from the listed accounts.
Move it. Support.
Properly moved and supported. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair, if I might, it's unclear to me whether any of these dollars are going to eventually get to Mott Community College. We do have a Head Start program, so I will be abstaining, just to be on the safe side. Thank you. And
Thank
of
you.
course, that's where I work.
Okay, any discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions? All right.
Abstain.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, resolution 2026-0779, approval of an agreement between Genesee County and Go Beyond Well Family System, EMR, in an amount not to exceed $20,900 to provide data management for the Healthy Start Initiative. Term of this agreement is from August 1st, 26 through July 31st, 28.
So moved.
Properly moved and supported. Any discussion?
Just a,
Commissioner Kuzno.
yeah, just a clarification, that's 20,000 for 2 years?
Brad, the deputy director at the HD, is here.
It's not 20,000 per year, or 20,900?
Brad, state your name and department.
Yes, Brad Snyder, Deputy Health Officer, Genesee County Health Department. Yes, that's correct. It's 20,000 for 2 years.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Resolution 26-0838, approval of a budget increase to the Mundy Township Senior and Enrichment Center not to exceed $17,957.25 for the next 3 months as a Level 3 center. Funding will come from the senior millage fund balance.
Move it. Support.
Properly moved and supported. Any discussion? Commissioner Kuzno.
Yes, is Lynn out there?
Just state your name and department, Lynn.
Good evening, Commissioners. Lynn Razalowski, Senior Services Director.
And this has met all your requirements to be paid at this level?
Yes.
Okay. No question in your mind?
No question in my mind. They have done a wonderful job.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Resolution 26-0848, approval of a resolution directing the Department of Senior Services to update their mission statement to align with the Genesee County Senior Services Task Force recommendations.
I'll move it. Support.
Properly moved and supported. Discussion. Commissioner Shoemaker.
Could we have an explanation of exactly why we needed to change this, or what needed to be changed, or is it just part of that we accomplished something with this group?
I didn't hear what you said.
I said, I'm just trying to understand, is it there really a need to change this, or is it just so we can feel good like we accomplished something, like the group accomplished something? Because There's been a lot of issues brought up. I'm being told that my resident's a liar, basically, because he was listened to when I sat in a meeting, right back there, and I watched it myself. So then, in essence, I'm being called untruthful. So I'm a little upset by this entire task force and anything that comes forward at this point. Because, to be fair, as the young lady stated, guess what? These weren't supposed to be people involved in these groups. There was not supposed to be the biased there. And the fact when I hear people can't get to appointments and stuff like that, but we're worried about stuff like this, it blows my mind. Because we want to make sure people are getting to their appointments. We want to make sure, guess what, especially health appointments, because guess what, it's preventative. It's actually it'll cost everyone less if we get them there early. But we're worried about stuff like this. Like I said, can somebody explain to me what really needed to be changed? Lynn, do you mind coming up and explaining what actually had to be changed in there that your staff didn't realize we needed to do?
Good evening, through the chair to you, Commissioner. I was given a directive that to follow the task force recommendation to update my department's mission statement to actually use the word collaboration. We collaborate all throughout Genesee County with service providers and senior centers. I believe they wanted it to be on the mission statement and maybe a little bit more enlightened or enhanced.
Like I said, if I may, Mr. Chair,
Yeah, go ahead.
continue. Like I said a few meetings ago, I thought some of the recommendations, I think Lynn and her staff have done a wonderful job since I've been here. I think she deals with some very difficult issues from when I first came out here and she had to deal with the senior center in my area. I think she handles herself well with it, and I always believe she was willing to work with everybody and her staff. But like I said, and if it's a word that makes everybody feel better, fine, but guess what, it's just time we're taking instead of doing what we're supposed to be doing, and so, thank you, Mr. Chair, I appreciate it.
Commissioner Flewelling.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Lynn, let me make sure I got straight what you just said. This whole resolution is to change one word in your mission statement?
It's my understanding to include the word collaboration. That was the one that was really talked about at the meetings by the chair and the vice chair.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Kuzno.
I guess I'm just a little confused and disappointed with the process. You was given a directive from them to do this.
The Senior Services Task Force
I
made
can speak up for the directive portion of it. There was a number of recommendations made by the Senior Task Force, which I believe Commissioner Wayhill asked me, I think it was your request, to email out to all commissioners, and I did do that. What we're trying to do is implement some of those recommendations. This is one of several that you'll see coming up. If the board, this is ultimately a policy decision by the board. If you want to update the recommendations, we'll do that. If you don't want to update the recommendations, we won't do that.
So, if I might,
Yeah, our charge to the task force was to deliver recommendations. To us, and we have the option to vote them up or down.
yeah, Mr. Chair. Well, I'm
Commissioner-
sorry, I'll
well,
defer to Commissioner Kuzno.
On that, I'm sorry, Commissioner Kuzno
Are you,
had the floor.
if you're done, I'll go.
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay. So if you look at the agenda, numbers 6 through 11 are all based on the Senior Services Task Force. So it's a package. They're here individually, vote on them individually, so some may have support, some may not. All of these are straight out of the presentation that they gave to us when we had our workshop. And these are all, except for maybe one, as I recall, the top recommendations. The recommendation that we're debating right now, number 6, was the overall major recommendation, as I recall. Am I right about that? That the mission statement is the very first thing.
It's right here.
So I've read through their report a number of times. I was there when they presented it, thought about it. So one thing, and I announced this at an open meeting maybe a month ago, that because we want to move on the recommendations, there was some discussion. We had this task force, nothing is happening. So nothing is going to happen unless we get something in front of all 9 of us that reflects their recommendations, their non-binding recommendations. So these are in front of you tonight so that you can reflect on what you heard at the workshop, what you read in their documents that they submitted, and have discussion with your fellow commissioners and decide whether you want to move on some of them or whether we want to not move on some of them. Otherwise, nothing would be happening with the task force. So the only way that we can make things happen is if we put them before us for discussion. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different items that reflect what the people who we appointed to that group suggested. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Lloyd.
I have a question. It's really about the treatment of, you know, don't have to say names or anything like that. I'm not trying to be super specific, other than I'd like to know, better understand the specifics. If there's somebody that was on the task force, because we all appointed people to the task force, if there are individuals, whether it's 1 or 2 or 3 or whoever, who was on the task force that says, hey, my voice wasn't heard, I'd like to understand the specifics of that. Were they making comments and the rest of the group was saying, we don't want to hear from you? Were they raising their hand and not being recognized? You know, did they, or was it that they had ideas, but maybe the majority didn't agree with the ideas? I like to understand the extent of that, because ultimately, whatever happened or didn't happen hits at the integrity of the group that we all put together and we all appointed people to. And that's not a dagger, because if I have a person on the board that comes to me and say, hey, this is whatever, then I'm gonna be passionate about that and I'm gonna raise it. So it's not a dagger at anybody, you know, on our board. Hopefully you understand that, but I like to understand the specifics of you know, what not being included looked like. Because I attended a meeting as well, and I didn't know all of the individuals who are on the commission, didn't need to. What I will say is, I believe I went to 2 settings, and what I will attest to is, when I was there, it seemed like an ordinary meeting of folks voicing their thoughts and raising their hands and giving their opinion. I mean, there are some folks that, that certainly talk more than others, you know, maybe as we do sometime here, but there was nothing that jumped out to me. It seemed like an orderly gathering. If that wasn't the case, I'd like to know the specifics of that.
I will,
Go ahead, Commissioner Schumaker.
if you want me to go over them now, I'll be glad to go over them now with you. If you'd like me to go over them later with you, we can go over them later.
Yeah.
However you want to do it.
Yep.
One of them is my resident who did attend, I believe, almost every meeting, because there were some members that actually were appointed who didn't show, fell off. And I can only go from what he told me and what I've watched. And trust me, he'll come with a pack of papers, and Derek has been kind enough, and Josh has been great enough to meet with this gentleman on many occasions. Mr. Wayhill has met with him, and so has Dr. Brown before over issues. He's very passionate about it. He's a former educator in the city of Flint. Jerome actually was one of his students.
I was one of his students.
Yes,
I know I'm interrupting.
exactly.
He's a nice guy.
So, but I only have to go off of what he is telling me, and when these ideas that he put forward, he's telling me is not addressed. And when I watched and hear the meeting I did attend, there were some strong personalities on that board. And there always are going to be. But what a good chair generally does is make sure even the lightest voice gets heard. And I'm not saying there's a bad chair, there was a good chair on that board. I'm not here to say that. What I'm saying is, guess what? Those are the things I'm being told. And then when I've got to listen to the caregivers, because when we formed that board, you remember, we weren't going to have a biased group. We were not going to have a biased group. And guess what? The majority of them either participated in a senior center or were part of. So how, but yet the caregivers, who are the ones who are actually providing care to our residents, didn't get as much of a say, and it was more than obvious. You only had to watch a couple meetings to see that go down. So I guess that's where my frustration is, because here's the thing, and I've said this at the beginning. These are groups that can go out and raise more money. Yes, and guess what? Brooke can sit there and write more grants, and she can try to the best of her ability, but guess what? There's a limited amount of funds. And we need to do this. We need to make sure we use those dollars the most effective way. I did have a conversation with Brooke afterwards, and if it would be okay with the chair, if she could just come up and reiterate what $100,000 would do for you in rides. How many more rides could you give with $100,000? If she could just come show me that, my mind was blown. We're talking about the Michigan State portion. Could you tell me how many more rides you could give for $100,000?
The grant as it stands is $300,000 every year, and we do at or about 120 a month. So you're looking at a 30% increase. It's about 400 rides per year. We'd be providing additionally with $100,000.
And those are the things, in my opinion, we should be doing. You know, I'm glad the senior centers provide a center for people to do things and do all those other things. And I do agree that when we gave the increases, there should be some increases, but the real priority should be to make sure our seniors are taken care of. Okay. And when you create a board that the majority of them look like they're for the senior center, it makes me question the outcome. So, but the rest of it, as far as my resident, I'll be glad to talk to you further on.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Commissioner Llewellyn.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To Commissioner Wayhill's point, no, I get it, I understand. I'm glad they're on here. This is what we talked about. The only one we had was a $100,000 study, right? So I get all that. I will, however, agree with the young lady from Argentine that it does seem a bit skewed, right? You put 10 cops on a jury, it's a pretty good idea which way they're gonna side. So you put 7 people from senior centers on this board, their interest is in maintaining those senior centers and improving them, right? So as I look at this list, 6 through 11, there's only one resolution that has anything to do with senior services, the rest of senior centers, maybe more coming in the future. My confusion with my first question was, maybe I'm missing something, but this first resolution is just changing one word in a mission statement?
I don't believe that's accurate.
That's what I heard, and hey, if it ain't, I just wanna know.
I know.
But that's
what
the answer I heard.
I know
right?
what we heard. I don't have it in front of me.
Right here.
All right. It's not one word. Do you have the existing statement?
I don't have the existing one.
Okay. So, the existing statement I do not have, but it talks about the mission is to distribute the funding, right? Okay. So, let's see here. This is the main recommendation. This would be a suggested new mission statement, which is different than just giving out money. So, the Genesee County Department of Senior Services should be the convener for collaborations with all parties to eliminate wait lists, bridge funding gaps, and provide better overall services to seniors in the county. That is a suggestion, so it's not just adding a single word. Here is the current mission. The Genesee County Department of Senior Services is dedicated to improving the health, safety, and quality of life for seniors in Genesee County. The department oversees the senior millage dollars to area senior centers and contracted service providers to ensure quality services and programming for the senior citizens of Genesee County. Then it talks about how much they've given out. So this mission statement and purpose is concentrated on giving out the $9 million. And maybe there's a majority of this board that thinks that's all they should do. What the task force was recommending is that they play a much larger role in convening people, looking at wait lists, bridging funding gaps, maybe looking at funding outside of the senior millage. We've talked about a grant writer potentially for other sorts of funding, helping providers and senior centers with their grant writing because many of them don't have that skill set or it's not very strong. So that's the difference.
Okay, so it's just a collaborative theme to the mission
Correct.
statement. And a mission statement isn't necessarily a policy statement.
Correct.
It's just what we want to see them do. It's kind of philosophical, right? Okay, that's fine. I'm good. Let's keep it rolling.
Yep. Commissioner Kuzno.
My appearance, or my take on it, that it was extremely biased one way. The person I appointed was a senior center worker, as was most of them, but it was a very biased setting, and I won't go into some of the other things that I was upset about, but I'll leave it at that. So I just it's biased. Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion?
Brief. I think, I appreciate the sentiment from my colleagues, and it's, you know, it's the first time we've done the senior commission, if you will, senior task force. And I think it just speaks to, like, for task force we do in the future, you know, that, and kudos to those that are on there. I mean, listen, folks that had their biases, they can't control their bias, right? We appointed them, you know, to the group. And so, you know, kudos to them for contributing whatever they contributed to it. I think, you know, for us, it's just one of those things where if we do a task force in the future, maybe we need to be even more specific about the type of representatives. Like maybe in this case, maybe we should have said, hey, no more than X number from senior centers, no more than X number from, you know, the service organizations. Or maybe we should have said a committee of folks that's not seniors at all who don't benefit, but there's 3 seats for seniors, or one from, you know, senior centers and one, you know, who's at home, or whatever case may be. I'm saying maybe we, you know, be more specific in the future about the demographic, you know, just to eliminate that kind of bias, you know, in the future.
Mr. Chair, we did, as part of the establishing resolution, define who could not be on it.
Yep.
And there was to not be any senior center employee, any employee that was receiving mileage money, any employee or board member from a provider agency, and any board member from a senior center. What has happened is there were some people who go to their senior centers, yes. We did not exclude those individuals. So if they have experience attending a senior center, one or more for any sort of service, that we did not write in there, but we did exclude people that would financially benefit from any, you know, that would have a direct conflict of interest.
Because I appointed somebody my age who loves seniors.
Yeah, so did I.
Commissioner Kuzma.
But I appreciate your wisdom in what you said, Commissioner Lloyd. But people are biased. I'm biased. You know, you just have to accept that. But as a board, we have to take responsibility in the fact that we failed to set up that properly. And so therefore, I'm disappointed in a number of things. And I don't know how you guys feel about it. I mean, that's why we're debating it at this point in time. But I find it very hard to accept a lot of the things that came out of that. I know we're not done with it. We got another half a year with it.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, my kudos.
I'm gonna vote, but I'm done talking.
We also have the
to the,
ability, go ahead, I'm sorry,
to
Mr.
the
Chair.
task force, they did exactly what we asked them to do. Now it's our turn to either vote it up or vote it down. And I think that's what we need to do.
Yeah, we also have the ability as individual commissioners to bring our own proposals that we want. We can work between our meetings, craft proposals, and bring them on any topic. We don't have to agree with any of these. Now, at some point, we need to give Lynn some direction, I think, about, RFPs that are going to be issued. Can you maybe speak to that, just get in front of the RFP issue and just remind commissioners of how that works and how any of these might play into that?
Yes, so all of our service providers go through a 3-year cycle through the purchasing department and the procurement process. They are awarded the 1 year with up to 2 more years, so 3-year total under each RFP every 3 years. We're going to start something new with our senior centers, not this coming fiscal year because there's just not enough time. They still have 1 more year under the application that they filled out 2 years ago. So because of timing, we're going to go with that they're all eligible to receive senior millage dollars upon your approval with the proposed increase. And then in March, when they would normally fill out an application, we're going to switch it to be an RFP process. So it mirrors exactly what the service providers go through. This way, everybody's uniform. It prevents centers wanting to be senior centers coming in at all different times, which can make it very difficult for the budget. And the centers can then plan again for every 3 years. And again, it mirrors the service provider contract and their process.
Any further discussion? Commissioner
Just,
Kuzma.
you know, thanks, Lynn. That helps me with some of the things that I've had questions about, because I heard a lot of comments that the senior citizen centers weren't treated the same as what the service providers were. And I hadn't taken the time to talk to you yet, but I had noticed that you have 2 employees that, you know, are basically auditing everything. They're looking over it as they come in. One for the senior citizen centers and then the other one for everybody else. And are they applying, being they're 2 different people, are they applying the same standards in their duties as to watching the dollar flow and et cetera? Because if they're doing something different, then I got to blame you. But you see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Is you need to be telling them, and I didn't know if they were doing something different. But what you just said, it sounds like you're trying to make that a better setup.
So if I could speak to that just really quick. The centers always filled out an application that mirrored the RFP process. It just didn't go through the purchasing department. It came through our office, we reviewed it, and then brought the contracts to the board for approval. This was the standard before I even got here. And it seemed to have worked, and they still have documentation that they need to submit. Service providers have a very similar, I mean, the senior center billing and the service provider billing are different because they're different services. Some have unit rates, some have, you know, they all have very detailed budgets that my staff each month look through, follow the receipts, follow the invoices to make sure it matches up. So while there are some differences because they're different programming, transportation isn't going to report on meals because they don't provide that, whereas a senior center, they're going to report on a number of different things because there's a number of different services in the center.
If I could just jump in real quickly, I think to your specific point, Commissioner, yes, we're trying to treat the senior centers the same way we treat the service providers in terms of accountability, though, right? Wouldn't you agree with that, that's kind of the bottom line?
Yes.
Yeah.
Trying to treat them now the same or have always?
I believe we've always have, but with that kind of different process, maybe it wasn't viewed that way. We're trying to streamline that and make it so that everybody is going through that same process. Okay. And then also, I think to what Lynn was saying, you know, sometimes we have this mid-year, oh, hey, I want to open a senior center in my community. By going through an RFP process, we'll know that come X date, that's when you can apply for a new senior center, so that as we're going through the year, that provides some more stability and funding for us as well. As we look to budget for the year, that, you know, we're not gonna get 6 months into the year and this community decides they wanna open a senior center. No, the senior center application process is on this date so that we can then budget more confidently.
Okay. Well, I guess at this point, I'm gonna go forward with saying something that I wasn't gonna say, but I decided to. I've spoken privately with a couple of my colleagues, and I felt we've made something very simple very complicated and brought on problems we really should have just handled ourselves. And we punted the thing to somebody else to do our decision-making for us. I don't know, or dirty work, whatever. So I have a problem with the process of having this commission group looking at it. I feel that we're very capable if we study what we're supposed to study and making sure that the money goes properly to the senior citizen centers and to these different groups. And I think that we have done in the past a very good job with Trust and Lynn to make those some of those determinations, and she hasn't done anything that she hasn't brought to the board and gotten permission for. So I think we're making a big deal out of nothing. And we just need to, I can say that, Dr. Brown's not here, we need to man up and just do our jobs. Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion? If not, on the vote to change the mission statement, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay?
Nay.
Do a roll call, please.
Commissioner Lloyd,
Aye.
Commissioner Winfrey,
Yes.
Commissioner Avery,
Yes.
Commissioner Shoemaker.
No.
Commissioner Kuzma,
No.
Commissioner Wayhill,
Aye.
Commissioner Flewelling.
No.
Motion passes 4-3.
All right, moving on to Resolution 260851, approval of a proposed 5% increase to the 17 seniors millage-funded senior centers for FY
I'll move it.
2027.
Support with a question.
Okay. Properly moved and supported. Commissioner Flewelling.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Lynn? If I may, so 5% increase. First of all, I just want to say that whole mission statement was kind of confusing because I thought that was all in your job duties anyway, so if it's not, we can talk later and you can fill me in on what you do. But with this one, it looks like, so $456,000 per year with this 5% increase? Is that correct?
For 1 year.
For 1 year, so this is not ongoing?
Each year it's determined by this board if they would like to increase, a percentage to the senior centers or any service provider, any millage-funded provider.
Okay, what is that? So, I mean, I'm assuming that's gonna have a pretty big negative impact on your fund balance this year, right? I mean, that's gonna take it down $500,000.
Yes.
And then, not that we're on this one, but the next one too is gonna affect your fund balance. So, that's almost $1 million between the two. But the next one's kind of a grant-funded type of deal.
Nothing is grant-funded. Everything that.
No,
oh,
I'm saying
sorry.
it'd be grants from the senior millage.
Yes, it would be
for that
individual,
fund.
small
Okay.
contract awards for innovation.
Can Crystal come up to speak to the fund balance piece on those?
So what's-
The projected fund balance at the end of fiscal year 2026 was 2.3 million. If this was the last item that we discussed, I think in our emails, they would still have about 650,000 left in fund balance, even by doing some of these one-time items.
That would take their fund balance down to 650,000?
Yeah, I think it was between 650 and 670.
What is the total overall, what's the total expense budget every year for the senior millage?
Is it about
9.5.
Yeah, about 9.5 million.
9.5 million, and your unassigned fund balance would be 650,000 after this year?
Yes.
Oh, God, that's a no-brainer no for me. Okay. Because even keeping 20% contingency, 20% of your expenses, you're looking, okay, thank you.
Okay, any further? Commissioner Kuzma.
One of the things that I thought of is, some of the, what brought us to this point is the various centers were upset that they weren't given any raises over time. And so we've done that on a one-time basis recently, and now this is another one, which I don't have a problem with, but I think this board should maybe adopt a policy that they're given, like, $9.5 million is coming in every year, and that probably edges up a little bit every year in the current economy, that they're given, I don't know, a third of it or whatever. Look over the history of what they have received, and maybe even going back to when it was originally instituted this millage, and then just giving them that in the budgets every year, a third, or whatever the percentage comes to, so that they're kept as whole as possible. And then whatever is left over, I hate using the word leftover because it's really not, but the other money then be, handled through Lynn's department, and how that is, and then she come to us and recommend, how to spend it on various programs. Thank you.
Commissioner Llewellyn.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, Crystal, help me out here. This is just something I learned, maybe I'm off, this is something I learned a long time ago, so would it be best practice to keep 20% of your annual expenses?
So there's a lot of different metrics that are thrown out there in the governmental finance world. Typically, it's 2 months' worth of operating expenses, which is just under 17%.
Okay.
There's not one size fits all, so like our general fund, our fund balance shouldn't be very low because we have a lot of legacy costs. We have a lot of capital needs. But if you look at another size community similar to ours, they may need less fund balance because they have kept up on the capital needs. They've had the money to do so and things like that. So in this particular fund, they don't have that legacy costs or the capital needs. If this millage decided to not renew, it would just be winding down the services and then, shifting the staff to other assignments or whatever. So you can feel more comfortable having about that. I wouldn't recommend going too low in that fund,
Well,
to your
that's
point.
20% would be 1.9
You can
million.
have property tax chargebacks that come through in that fund,
Yeah.
MTT adjustments if people go fight their taxable value. We can get charged for those types of things, so we should have fund balance on hand to handle that. But unlike a lot of other funds, if it's a millage and it ends, you just wind it down and stop paying for those services.
I understand, and I get that. I mean, if you're saying 650,000 is not bad to have as a fund balance, but my fear is this request is for 456,000.
Yeah,
What's the next request gonna be for?
I don't think every single one of those things is dipping into the fund balance. So the property tax revenue went up this year for fiscal year 27 from 26. So some of those increases can be absorbed by the increase in revenue. But there are certain items listed here, I think they say to come from fund balance. I believe those were the one-time items. Help me out, the innovation fund.
Okay. Well, then,
The increase in the service providers was coming from
backlog,
fund
yes.
balance. So those are one-time costs, and if you decide,
guess
next year
maybe
you
Lynn-
don't wanna do that again, then you could pull those out and then increase your fund balance again.
maybe Lynn can
So
help
with
me
us
out then.
being where I think we just renewed this millage, right? So if we were, if it was not renewed and we were 1 year out from ending the millage, you would wanna have more money on hand
Sure.
as you wind it down.
So this 5% increase isn't coming from fund balance, is it gonna fit in your budget?
Yes,
It will fit in the budget.
yes, that has been.
Is it,
That has been calculated.
Okay.
There are the additional ones, like the 5% for the innovation fund,
Mhm.
that's not currently budgeted for, so it would be either.
so if every senior center applied for the innovation fund, it would hit that $485,000 mark and it would come from fund balance.
Depending on, there was an increase,
Okay.
so, but this is a brand-new line item. This has not been budgeted before.
Okay, last question, I'm sorry, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
So, 5% increase in senior centers is budgeted. You can fit that in your budget.
Yes.
What does it do to the service providers? Does it take money from them?
No, we have proposed an increase in the in-home care, lawn care, snow maintenance, transportation, home-delivered meals to reduce the waiting list. We have made a recommendation. Those monies will come from the fund balance because it's an increase to what they're getting. For example, 150,000 was being added to transportation. Another 300,000, I believe, was added for lawn care. Another 150. But yes, that I believe will come from the fund balance because it's
Okay.
not. It's an above and beyond increase.
You're telling me it fits in your budget, and that's fine. My concern is sustainability.
Right.
It's gonna be every year, somebody's gonna ask for more. It's gonna be more and more every year. And how do we sustain that on this millage funding? But that's not a question for tonight. If you're telling me it's budgeted and it works, and you're okay with it, and it's not gonna harm services, and it's Okay.
There's no projected cuts in this recommendation, so
Sure.
no additions. Either
Sure.
stay the same or getting additional funding to provide additional services.
Okay, I'm good with it. We can deal with next year, but don't spend that fund balance all the way. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any further discussion? Commissioner Kuzno.
Yeah, Crystal, a number of years ago when you first come on and we're dealing with the budgets and fund balances and all that, you know, we discovered that a lot of different departments had their own little silo and fund balances and et cetera. So that's what I'm hearing here now, that they're allowed to have a fund balance. I mean, I thought we were
So
keeping the fund balance
The
so that
distinction.
if that happened, we could, you know.
Yeah, so the distinction between those two items, we were talking about originally, at the beginning of the year, we would budget our appropriations for grant matches and send those funds from general fund to those grant funds. There was no mechanism for shoring it up at the end of the year and pulling back whatever was not needed. So when, it was probably 4 or 5 years ago, we started clawing back that money that general fund had provided if it was not truly needed for a match. This is all millage money, so it's all fund balance
Correct.
from the millage,
Yes.
not anything that general fund has put into this fund.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, maybe it would be helpful to bring forth a policy around fund balance for millage funds that this board signs off on, and then that's what we'll work on. Because this is not unique to senior services that we have a low fund balance for. For example, arts millage. We essentially give the arts millage everything except for what you believe is a calculated, what you calculate to be, you know, our exposure for chargebacks, right? And it's less than $600,000. Genesee Health System, for example, we don't keep $600,000 in a fund balance for Genesee Health System because it's a guaranteed source of income for the number of years that the millage is approved by voters. Now, towards the end of that millage, we're gonna wanna have that fund balance be a little bit higher in case voters don't approve it, and then we've got to, you know, slowly kind of close out that programming. But, you know, this isn't a unique situation to senior services. We have this, where kind of is high in one millage fund and it's low in another millage fund. So I'll work with Crystal to come up with a uniform fund balance policy for millage funds, and then we'll get that before you, and you guys can tell us what do you feel comfortable with on millages, and that's what we'll stick with as we move forward.
Good idea.
Okay. Commissioner Shoemaker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through the chair to Crystal or Lynn. 5% is the increase on this. What did we increase our services? What percentage did that increase by? I see there's numbers here, we've increased 150 for something or whatever, but was it the same 5% increase we gave for our service providers?
It was not, because we wanted to look at how much, $100,000, how many more services or seniors that would provide services for. So for, pull up the
To
resolution
hit the
here.
backlog,
So I think the memo
for the
said-
backlog. We were trying to address those areas where there's a backlog. So
Yes.
for transportation,
Yes.
for home-delivered meals, those sort of things that we have a waiting list, how can we attack that waiting list?
I understand that, but here's what I'm trying to explain. We arbitrarily or by plan came up with 5% for senior centers. We said, we're giving you 5%. And generally, when we've done an increase down here, we try to keep it go, this is what we're collecting as far as the millage, this is our millage increase, wages or whatever, we said percentage. This we did piece by piece as far as our service providers, not as a percentage, correct?
Correct, because
Why?
I was given the instruction to take a look at our wait lists. For example, our in-home care, we have 215 seniors on a wait list. Based on 52 weeks times 3 hours, 156 hours per client, times $22 is their service rate. That equals $3,432 per year. So an increase of 200,000 could serve 58 more clients. That's how we broke it down, because they use a unit rate versus a senior center that they have an award increase and then they just decide where they want to put it, whether in administration, operations, whereas the service providers use a lot of a unit rate to bill us, with administration and everything put in there. So for example, so that was the 215 home delivered meals, 196 on the wait list for an additional 300,000. So a lot of these are more than the 5%. They would serve an additional 90 clients. Medical transportation, an increase of 150,000, would provide an additional 1,500 additional rides per year. Snow maintenance we know is, and lawn care we know is huge, 379 on the wait list. So the 160,000 would serve an additional 56 clients, and we have already 2 more crews, to have 7 crews to hopefully nail down this wait list, as it's shown a big need. It's just different between the budgets.
Well, Mr. Chair, if I may, thank you, through the chair. My question is this, though, 5% to the senior centers, because this is the way I guess I think we should budget things, is we've got a 4% increase. Guess what? Then maybe in that, we're gonna spend, we agree to spend 2% of that 4% increase, then that would be X amount. And then we determine where it's gonna go. We've decided to give 5% because we're not spending it out of your reserve fund. We're spending the 5% on this resolution we're talking about right now, which is $456,000, if I remember you saying it correctly. I just don't understand. We used a percentage, and I know what happened if you gave, what would happen if you gave the service providers that same 5%? How much money would that have been?
I would have to calculate that.
It's a lot, it's a bit more, isn't it?
If we gave each service provider, the in-home service provider, yes, it would be a lot more.
So that's what I'm saying. So percentage-wise, we're giving the senior center a lot larger percentage than we are giving people who actually are taking care of people. And that's where I don't understand that math. It just doesn't make sense to me.
I think that it's backwards. I think that we're giving, the 5% increase for senior centers is 400,000 total.
Yeah, it's less.
And then the increase we're doing to try to address these wait lists, what is the total for that resolution?
Please let me solve you from going any further. It's not about the dollar amount. It's about the percentage is what I'm trying to get across. Does that make sense? It's not about the dollar amount. It's the fact is if we're spending at a rate, let's say now, that the senior centers are getting 20% and and this is not the way it is, I understand this, and our service providers are getting 80%, okay? If you gave 5% to one at 20%, then you should give 5% to the other. So it's a more balanced, so those funds are being spread equally across there, if that makes any sense what I'm saying. I can't grasp how we can justify a larger percentage, because they came in griping. Remember, originally, the senior centers came in, the reason this task force was created, because the senior centers, a couple directors came in, they were upset, they wanted an increase, they didn't get an increase, and guess what? This is how this started, and this is how the task force got started, and everything got there. And now, they're getting a larger percentage increase than what we're giving to the actual service providers. Yes, we're giving more money to the service providers with this increase, but the percentage is skewed. And that's where I have a problem, because I believe, it's just my opinion, that people need help. Most of these people, I don't know about everyone else's senior center, but they're driving or they're getting a ride to that senior center somehow. Where these people that can't get their doctor's appointments, they're not getting a ride. They're sitting at home because they don't have a ride. And there's other services. So I guess I think it's skewed the way we've done this. I don't know. How did we come up with this process, Lynn? If you could please explain it to me. Did we determine the funds, the amount for each group that we would spend?
So we took the dollar amounts to see, we did 3 different levels. To see how many rides per this amount of money, how many meals this per amount of money, and did it in 3 different columns. Through the budget hearing, I think Crystal had a little bit of a concern if we went with the max out, because we would be down to maybe a couple $100,000. So we thought at this beginning level, this increase, this will dramatically help reduce the wait list, which was a recommendation from the task force. It didn't make sense at the time to calculate just an overall 5% for each service provider, because each service provider is different. Each service provider has a different unit rate for a different service. So this, we took a chunk of money and knew exactly how many units and how many seniors we could serve, or how many additional rides we could add.
Okay, just, Mr. Chair, if I may, just, and then I won't talk on the next resolution as much, I promise, but, I've been really good, I don't hear it. It says the approval of sorry, let me put my glasses on. Innovation Fund.
I'm sorry, we're still on.
I know, I just want to
0851.
understand what the funding is this, so I can match it with the one below it, or above it. So, I'm sorry, that's what I'm trying to do. So how much is this next one? And who's it going to? The senior centers to help with gaps?
The Innovation Fund is $496,635.65. That is 5% of the total revenue that it was asked to be put in a brand-new line item for innovation funds, or funds for innovation and to fill gaps in services in senior centers only.
So you're, between the two, you're almost $1 million increase to senior centers if you spend both.
With both of those, correct.
See, okay, thank you. I got no more questions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any further questions?
So, if I might, Mr. Chair, I can support the motion that's on the floor for the 5%. We did 5 last year, and that was to help them catch up with just the cost of living and inflation at the centers, as I recall, after, I think, a lot of years of not having any increase. To me, this is sort of a compromise, because at least one of my centers would love to have half of the $9 million for senior centers. Half, 50%, so not a third, but 50%. And there are other centers that have advocated for that as well. So what I see with these resolutions, and I think the Innovation Fund is certainly debatable, but when you look at the 5% here and then number 9 for the in-home, to me, what we're trying to do is balance our approach between senior centers and the folks that are homebound and essentially can't get to a senior center for services, who have, I think, needs that are more dire in a lot of ways than what happens at a senior center. So the $2 million or so that we have in the fund balance, whatever you want to call that, I see this as a package of us trying to address concerns of senior centers about cost of living, inflation, and then concerns of service providers. And it's not even their concerns, it's the fact that we have waiting lists that are significant with these service providers. I think the Innovation Fund, which we'll get to, was designed to, if there was a senior center over and above helping with inflation, if they wanted to create new programming that's innovative or add programs because they have their own waiting list, that would address it. But maybe it's not needed, I don't know. So I just wanted to say that I think, to me, this is a balanced approach overall.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nay.
Roll call, please.
Winfrey,
Yes.
Avery. Shoemaker,
No.
Kuzma,
No.
Wayhill,
Yes.
Llewellyn,
No.
Lloyd.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-3.
Motion passes. Okay, moving on to resolution, where are we? 260852, approval of an innovation fund for Genesee County senior centers to help address gaps in services for Genesee County seniors. Been properly moved and supported. Any discussion?
Who moved it?
I did them both.
Who moved it?
I did them both
Did you move it?
and support.
I didn't support it. I'm willing to compromise on this one and say perhaps we should set it aside.
No one supported, okay.
Double J.
All right, so,
Nice for lack of support.
motion fails for lack of support. Okay, moving on to resolution 260853. Approval to increase funding allocated to in-home care, lawn care, and snow maintenance, transportation, and home delivered meals. Properly moved and supported. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
No.
Ayes have it, motion carries. Resolution 260854, approval of a resolution directing the Department of Senior Services to develop an annual orientation for the Board of Commissioners and distribution of an annual report
I'll move it.
on the senior millage. Been moved, any support?
I'll support it with a question.
Okay, properly moved and supported.
Thank
Commissioner
you, Mr.
Flewell.
Chair. Lynn, can you explain this one to me? I'm assuming, I know what an annual report is, but what's an annual orientation? What are they looking for there?
I believe it was more to educate the commissioners on what the senior millage is funding, how the senior millage works, more formal. I present to you each year an annual report. I believe this is pairing myself coming to you in a January meeting, giving you an overview of what's currently going on, maybe some upcoming trends, maybe some upcoming issues, along with being formally here to answer any questions that you have from the annual report.
So this is just something you could add to your report without us spending more time on a resolution?
Correct.
All right, thank you. I'm done.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, nay?
Nay.
Okay, roll call, please.
Avery,
Yes.
Shoemaker,
Yeah.
yes? Kuzno,
Yes.
Wayhill,
Yes.
Llewellyn,
No.
Lloyd,
No.
Winfrey.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, resolution 260855, approval of a resolution directing the Department of Senior Services to develop scope of service and releasing an RFP for case management and/or social worker services in the millage-funded senior centers.
Move it.
Properly moved and supported. Discussion.
Mr. Chair, I wonder if Lynn might approach and just give some background on this. I know it was one of the recommendations, but of all of them, this is the one that I have the sort of the least awareness of how it would work.
Okay, I'm going to start with two different case management programs. The first case management program we have is for our homebound seniors. That is a contract with the Valley Area Agency on Aging, where their licensed social workers go into the home, screen in-home clients to make sure they qualify for services and continue services with reassessment. This would be a new program specifically for the senior centers to put a case manager or social worker in each center, similar to our legal services, where there's an appointment made each month with the different attorneys to address issues. The centers really thought that this could be a great addition. I agree, this could be a great addition to enhance those services, but in order to meet the needs of 17 individual senior centers, I need to meet with all of them to figure out the best route, because when we reached out to them, I had 17 different thoughts of what it looked like. So obviously our budget can't afford 17 social workers in 17 senior centers, so we need to work together to come up with a good, solid scope of service to put out for RFPs, for an RFP that will meet the needs of all 17 centers.
Mr. Chair, if I might follow up on that. So I guess you've said it, but you may hire one social worker to start, potentially, or two, and then you have a schedule where they would appear, like legal services does. Who else goes out to the senior centers, the providers? Veterans?
Veterans does.
Yeah, so there's several that go do site visits, but they're not there 9 to 5, Monday through Friday at every center. So what you're saying is, you know, depending on how this develops, you would have coverage, but people would have to make appointments or know about it.
Yes.
And the fundamental issue, I mean, I go to my senior centers a lot. I'm there a lot. And my sense is that you've got seniors there that will bring up in conversation, hey, I need this, or my neighbor needs this, or there are, you know, food insecurity, maybe there's housing issues, and the senior center staff is not uniformly able to do proper referrals. Is that right?
Correct.
I mean, do intake on those issues and then make accurate referrals to the different agencies where those people might get help. So this is designed to to assist them with this extra capacity of people who really know where the service people?
Yes, this is taking it one step further than just giving a phone number and a resource directory. This is a senior who is in some sort of crisis that needs to connect with the individuals. Again, you said food insecurity, housing insecurity, Medicare setup. It's a deeper dive into that senior's concern issue with a trained professional that can give the one-on-one private time that maybe the senior center staff isn't able to give on a regular basis. But it would be very structured, and we'd have criteria. It would not just be, oh, I don't know what to do, I'm gonna send you to the social worker. It would be very regimented.
Okay, thank you, Lynn. Mr. Chair, I yield.
Okay.
I yield.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. Couldn't those individuals, like if he had 2 or 3, couldn't they be housed in your office as well, your department? I know you have a very small team, but couldn't you have individuals in your department that you send out to support, or directors of senior centers reach into your office with, maybe senior center directors are trained to fill out a referral form to come to your team where you all vetted, and your persons can go to centers and meet with seniors and stuff like that? Is that something you can do in your office?
We could.
If you had to-
It would be up to the board to decide, do you want to contract out to other organizations to provide this services, or are you wanting to hire or expand the Department of Senior Services to include social workers / case managers that would be county employees?
I think that sounds pretty good, me personally, because then the folks in your office could be kind of like they had a community health workers in some of the health centers that are partnered with the state of Michigan and a number of locations across the community, where that person is a person that connects seniors, in this case, to different vendors that the county's contracting with to do whatever, whether it's ramps or whatever the case may be. Can't exhaust that sitting here, but I'm interested in exploring, if we go down that road, expanding your team. You have a very small team, but certainly that's a service that the county could very well offer. Something to think about for another time. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Cousineau.
Lynn, don't you kind of already do that? When somebody calls, they want to know if there's a service. Your department's already doing that and handling calls, and sometimes I think you send it over to VAAA too to handle that. Am I correct?
Absolutely. We get multiple calls, emails, 10 to 20 a day. We are a hub for information and referral. So many seniors call our office, and we're able to refer out, provide them the numbers, the services, follow up, all of those type of things. Some, if we feel that they are eligible for in-home services, yes, we would make that referral to Valley. Sometimes, though, it's just phone numbers or a resource directory being sent out. But we do, in our office, a lot of case management and social work, because that's our background in our education.
I understand the senior citizen centers. They're kind of the organization that's on the ground, and people come in and say, my wife needs this now, or my cousin, I know this and stuff. And so I know that the directors, they do some of that already now too, and point out to it. So I'm questioning now, at first, it's for this, but now I'm questioning whether we need to do it or not and have another expense when it's already being done.
Again, this was a request from the senior center directors that they felt that this was a needed service. And I think it's a great service to have social work case managers there to help guide people. Again, it's first developing a scope of service to see what we can do and then cost it out. Or there's other avenues we could go with looking at sending senior center directors or staff to trainings to learn a little bit more about the referral process. This was just a start to see if I can wrangle in 17 centers on how this would look.
What's the qualifications that a senior citizen director has to meet to be hired? social work?
That is up to the governing body. We, as the county, do not have any hiring or firing requirements. That's up to that board, whether it's the local unit or the authority board.
I guess it's just some of my past experiences that, my understanding of that was not what you're just saying. It was more or less a requirement. They had to have a certain level of training to hire them, and some of the senior citizen centers didn't have that. But those people are still there because they were long-term and grandfathered in, so I'm a little confused as to how I'm remembering this.
The county does not have any requirements for those directors. We have requirements that there be a full-time, 40-hour-a-week senior center director employed, and we have different program requirements. But who the township, city, or authority board hires as their director, they come up with their own job description. They come up with the requirements to hire that director.
I've been misinformed in the past. Thank you.
Mhm.
Not by you.
I was like, okay, good. I never want to do that.
No, it wasn't by you, so, yeah. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Roll call.
Shoemaker. No. Kuzma.
No.
Wayhill.
Yes.
Llewellyn.
No.
Lloyd.
Yes.
Winfrey.
Yes.
Avery. Yes. Sorry. Board here. Passes.
Okay, well, thank you. The motion carries. Last but not least, Resolution 260871, approval of a request by Genesee County's Department of Veteran Services to provide funding in an amount not to exceed $20,000.
Support.
Properly moved and supported. Colonel Britton, can you come up, please? And just give us a 30-second overview of what this is.
Good evening, Commissioners. Derek Britton, Director of Veteran Services. So, in keeping with our priorities with the county, collaboration, inclusive culture, we've given some funds to some of our VFWs, our American Legions and whatnot, other organizations that are supporting veterans in the county. Mid-Michigan Honor Flight is one of those organizations. They are a nonprofit organization dedicated to transporting our military veterans from Michigan to Washington, D.C. to visit the memorials dedicated to their service. They prioritize our World War II veterans and our Korean War veterans alongside some of our terminally ill veterans. So they have a guardian that goes with them. That guardian, most of the times, is another veteran who accompanies them to the memorials. They visit in D.C. They get to just interact with those memorials and other veterans who may have served during that time as well. And they get a flight back, and on the flight back, they fly out of Bishop, the most recent one. They get a big welcome home. And a lot of those, of course, as you know, some like the Vietnam veterans, they didn't get that welcome home like they would receive for this honor flight. So they're doing great things. The last flight was June 16th. It gets a lot of press out here at Bishop. We had 76 local veterans, one World War II, 6 Korean War veterans, and the rest were Vietnam War veterans, and that was June 16th and 17th. The next flight departing out of Bishop will be September 15th and 16th. And on the last flight, we did have one of our staff who acted as a guardian to go with a veteran for that flight. So just a great program that they're doing to honor our service members.
Okay. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair, I wonder if the Colonel would give an advertisement for the resource rally that's coming up this fall so that people know day, time, location. Am I putting you on the spot? Clearly.
You did, yes, because I don't have that on me.
So it's in Swartz Creek?
It's in Swartz Creek at Elms Park.
Elms
Yes.
Park, sometime in September.
Yes, September.
So stay tuned for more several thousand people, veterans welcome, lots of resources, and food and music and fun.
Yes.
Any further discussion? Hear none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries, this meeting is adjourned.
Mr. Chair, we do have the one add-on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I put a
Oh,
motion
one
forth to
add-on.
add the resolution dealing with the Genesee County Medical
Support.
Authority.
Properly moved and supported, any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
I'll
This
move.
meeting-
I'd like to move it.
Support.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay, okay, on the motion, those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. This committee is adjourned at 9:19.
All right. Call the Public Works Committee to order, 9:19. Roll call.
We got two
Dropping
runners.
fast here.
We got two runners
Commissioner Lloyd,
present.
Commissioner Winfrey, Commissioner Getzinger, Commissioner Brown, Commissioner Avery, Commissioner Shoemaker, Commissioner Kuzma,
Here.
Commissioner Flewelling,
Present.
Commissioner Wayhill just stepped out.
Okay, auction time. Resolution 2026-0891, approval of meeting minutes, June
Move it.
10th, 2026.
I'd like to move, substitute resolution, move resolutions 1 through 11.
Support.
We gotta do minutes first.
Can we do minutes and public comment? Sorry.
It was moved, but we just need support, Commissioner
I got-
Chairman.
It's been supported.
Okay.
Moved and supported to approve the minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Public comment to the committee? Public comment. Seeing none. Communications?
None.
None. Old business?
No.
New business?
Yes.
Move resolutions 1 through 11, please.
We have resolution 1 through 11. We got support. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Resolution 2026-0865, approval of an agreement between Genesee County and Spark Construction Group Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $6,424,000 to provide masonry repairs at Genesee County Jail and Circuit Courthouse. The cost of this agreement will be paid from capital improvement funds.
Move it with question.
Support.
Moved and supported. Commissioner Shoemaker.
Ray's headed up here right now. Good evening, Ray. Through the chair. Obviously, could you explain what has happened so our residents understand what we're spending $6 million on right now?
So two of our primary buildings downtown Flint, one of them turns 100 years this year, the Circuit Courthouse, and the other one was built in 86. So it's getting up there in age as well. So we have some much-needed deferred maintenance on both of those. So this will be addressing the exterior of both of those buildings.
So we have actually, we've had to block off portions of the outside of the jail because we've had
Absolutely.
brick falling.
Yep.
So,
Water infiltration, leaks inside the jail. We're trying to
Yep.
prevent that into our historic courthouse.
so we knew this was coming.
We did, yep. It's been
Yep,
a
yep.
little bit delayed with COVID, but the bids came in just about where we thought they would.
We've budgeted for this
Yep.
expense, so
Yep.
everyone knows.
No
So,
surprises.
no, unfortunately, it's a large amount and
Yeah.
affects us greatly, but thank you for keeping us on top of this. And this is just back to my point where that jail's getting old, and eventually, guess what? We're gonna have to take some action, because this is just one of the beginning things. Now, is there any warranty on their repair work, if I may, through the chair, ask that question?
There will be.
Can you
Most
just
certainly.
find out for me?
Probably depends on the specific item that we're talking about.
Just like the exterior.
I mean, we have 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
But we will be, there is, if I may, there will be a part 2 to this, which is the roof that was going to be bid out separately, just to get in line with roofers at the jail, the upper roof, yes.
All
Thank
set?
you, Ray. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Kuzma?
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment that, to pile on to what Mr. Shoemaker said. This is, in order for us to have this money, we've done and you've done, and Derek Bradshaw with planning, and Crystal and Josh, we've really done our fiduciary duty to prepare for this. That was, we've known for years that it needed to be done. And we made sure that the funds are there. And this process started a number of years ago. And kudos to the staff that, and past boards, this board plus past boards, because this has been a program going on for a number of years before some of us were here. So thank you.
Yes.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Seeing no other business, we're adjourned.
Couple things.
Day 9:24.
You guys got real efficient.